Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Oh, hello.
Say, yeah. I am not the usual Aged Boomer tonight. I am the well. I don't know if I even want to call Eastwood a boomer. He's probably silent generation. But the point is that he's an icon. We're going to be talking about him a little later tonight. So we may have a spirited debate. We'll see.
Well,
But
in fairness, I'm not the regular the PaPa Pacelli either. I just got a lot on my mind today.
Gotcha.
And some of that we'll probably get into tonight. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it.
So welcome everybody. Let me say hi to the chat. Oh, you didn't ask me what I'm sipping on.
What are you sipping on? Yeah, I've been curious ever since I heard that vending.
Nothing interesting.
Drop
a root
it
beer,
out for you.
An A&W root beer.
Nice.
You
Old
like
school.
those? Okay.
That is the way to go, my friend.
With the aged vanilla. Yeah.
There you go. Are you so, and of course A&W root beer has that frosty mug taste. If you're as old as I am and you remember that
frosty cold can, yeah.
Are you holding it with your thumb on the top and your pinky on the bottom like it's a mug? Do you remember those commercials?
No.
Oh gosh.
Hold on, that'll be the good old days tonight. We'll talk about the A&W root beer. I don't know, root beer. I don't know. You know what? Save that. Maybe we'll do a whole subject on root beer someday, huh?
Let me see if I could find a picture of that. That's an old fuzzy memory. I wonder how many people remember that.
But let me say hi to the chat while you're doing that. A Big Al presents. Have a great stream, geezers. Rest in peace, Vangelis. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. That's how I've always said it. But
Vangelis.
Yeah, Vangelis. Okay, well, I've been saying it wrong for like 30 plus years. But anyway, okay. Netters Network. Hi, sweetie. Hello, Nanette. Always happy to see you here. And she says, hello, love of my life, with a heart. That's very nice. Okay. Auditor Drad, welcome. I have partaken some moonshine to start the evening. That sounds like a plan.
That's not a bad plan.
I should probably be doing moonshine before each stream, too. I might be better off. It's funny. They did a Gordon Ramsay has that new show where he travels around the world. And he comes to the areas in the United States. And I think he went to the Rocky Mountains, I believe. And
okay.
I think that's where he was, and he learned how to make moonshine. And the guy took him through all the steps, and then you have to light it. You can't light it, you'll go to jail, or like that's against the law. Apparently, you have to have a special license, and it can only make certain kinds of moonshine, I think, to do it legally. So he showed him the whole process. You just can't light it right here, which I thought was fun.
Well, and I'm sure 99% of the law is not distributing it and reselling it. You got to. I know,
but they did that for the special. You know, he had to tell them, don't light it.
But just for spits and giggles, just so you don't think I'm completely insane, I am going to share my screen with you. We probably don't want to actually play the video, but there is that 1970s A&W root beer commercial.
What? Can you play it?
I can if you want me to. You know what? I'm going to have to unshare it because I didn't share sound. So let me
unshare it.
Stop sharing. Share screen. Share system audio for that. And then I'm going to have to go back to the beginning. And make sure the volume is unmuted. Nope, not hearing it, so it must not be unmuted. There we go. Back to the beginning. There we go. And it's muted.
Why do you hold your root beer that way?
Because that's how I hold a frosty mug of A&W.
But that's not a frosty mug.
Sure tastes like one.
A&W root beer's
got that frosty mug taste. A&W root beer's got that frosty mug taste. A&W root beer's got that frosty mug taste. To this day, I remember that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I never saw that commercial.
And then when the video ends, you get to see, so you watch Viva Fry and Doomcock and the
your thing. Yeah. Okay.
You get to see what I watch.
all your far right
Oh,
Yahtzee
my
videos.
far right. Yeah, exactly. I'm such a big ideologue. Oh, I'm
That
terrible.
Latino slant guy, he's part of the far
That Latino slant, right?
Horizon Talker. Hello, the chat. Hello. Auditor Dread, welcome. I think I already said it. Okay. Depensec, welcome. Time to get geeky with the geezers. Yes, it's time to get geeky. We're gonna talk about a
Thank you.
like
No, I wanna not get away from. I need to mention Big Al. Thank you, Big Al, for supporting your buddy here. He used to drink root beer like that, holding the can like that. Sometimes, honestly, I still do, to just just every once in a while. And there'll be somebody that's about my age or older that'll look and go, I see what you're doing there.
uh-huh. I was simping on Avatar: The Last Airbender today. What? Okay,
I'm assuming
Joshua
you don't
B.
mean the movie, you mean the or the show,
The television series. Yeah, the lovely weather reporter Katie Nikolai has a channel about
right. What
Last
is that?
Airbender.
All so many random fandom.
Yeah, and I think the stream is called the Lotus Eaters, or is it the Lotus Eaters or something like that. Yeah,
I don't know.
But
I don't watch the show to know what that.
I don't,
means.
so I don't really watch it because I never watched Avatar. But I know it's got a lot of fans out there, and I'm not here to knock on the stuff you like. I like a lot of things. I got Superman the Animated Series for my birthday on Blu-ray. That's big fan of Superman the Animated Series.
No, Go ahead.
Did you ever watch that back in the day, Superman the Animated Series? Late 90s?
I saw some episodes. I have a bunch of them on DVD. I kind of need to watch them through, but I've been getting some guidance from all of y'all in that fixing the DC and DC.
How to watch it
in what order and stuff. And everyone's telling me to start with the Batman animated series.
Here's what you do. You start with the what they like to call volumes, not seasons, but the first 3 volumes of Batman the Animated Series. Okay. Then you watch Mask of the Phantasm. Then you watch Batman Sub-Zero. Then you can start with Superman.
Okay.
It's not the end of the world if you didn't do it in that order, but I think chronologically, and they were made before Superman the Animated Series. They did have Superman the Animated Series take place like a couple years after Batman the Animated Series ended.
That makes sense.
And then also there's the new Batman Adventures, which you can probably watch after Superman the Animated Series. It sort of was taking place concordantly with Superman the Animated Series.
Sure.
So what happened was they were supposed to give Superman the Animated Series the full, I think, 80 episodes, right?
Okay.
And the trouble was, then the studio came in and said, make more Batman episodes. And they made more Batman episodes featuring the more updated Batman that they had in the World's Finest special they did on Superman the Animated Series.
Gotcha.
But the problem was, the problem with that was, though, they also shorted their original plans, what they were going to do with Superman the Animated Series, how they were going to end it.
Oh.
So they sort of ended it on a little, I'm not going to get into it when you watch it, but their plans for it didn't really get followed up on until Justice League Unlimited, because it was basically the last part of Superman the Animated Series was going to be Superman versus the government. That's how they were going to go. But and I think Lex Luthor was going to be working with the government or something, and it was,
which makes sense. He ran for president. He was president for at least one term.
They did that on Justice League later on. They said
that makes sense.
They had him running for president, and it was this. Yep. But
who did they have as his vice president?
They hadn't gotten that far yet. Actually, it was funny though. This was in the one based on the comics, the Superman Batman Public Enemies animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny because I was watching with my brother, and first you had Lex Luthor show up, and then he says, "I'm going to meet with you, Superman, to discuss how we can stop this giant kryptonite meteor." And of course, as soon as Superman shows up, Metallo's right behind Lex Luthor. My brother said, "Hey, there's the vice president." Metallo, do you get it? It's because it would be funny if it was Metallo. It was the voice of Metallo was played by the guy who was on Scrubs, the older doctor who remember the meme where he says wrong. He was the one that played Metallo in that movie, which
that is one of my sound bites in my StreamYard. When necessary, I'll pull it up. Yeah.
Let's see here. HBO, do you own the Batman Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited besides? Yes, I own everything. It's a mixture of Blu-ray and DVD. I haven't decided if I'm going to upgrade everything to Blu-ray, but Superman I wanted to upgrade to Blu-ray because it's my favorite of those.
Mm-hmm.
I have I don't know if I'm going to do that with Batman Beyond or not, because I'm mixed on Batman Beyond. But there were things I liked about it. But then, oh yeah, and Batman Beyond, if you are technically going to watch more, you would watch Batman Beyond after
Sure.
Batman the Animated Series Volume 4 and Superman the Animated Series. Then that comes after that. But anyways,
I'm slowly collecting them. So
if you want, I'll send you a list. I should do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But
I literally I really should have gotten Batman first, and I didn't. I got a bunch of Superman and some of Justice League. I'm like, well, maybe I should.
If you watch them out of order, it's not the end of the world.
I'll be all confused.
If someone started, it's like if someone started with Star Trek: The Next Generation, then went back and watched the old show. You can enjoy these things on their own, or you can watch them in order. It doesn't matter. If you started with Justice League,
the Naked Now would be really confusing if I didn't have the Naked time to.
It gets complicated when you didn't.
I was just looking for an excuse to say naked on your channel.
On my stream. Thank you. Well, there's some nice pinup looking women on those shows, but no nudity. Okay, but because it was a kids show. But anyway, okay. Yeah, but okay, Batman Beyond, not my cup of tea. It's fine. I mean, I really liked it at the time. It's just part of the problem is when you do a show about the future, how well is that future going to hold up? Granted, it's a stylized future because it's taking place in the DC animated universe, so of course it's not going to be sizing up anyway. But love the Batman Arkham games. Grew up with those, and I think Mark Hamill killed his joke. Yeah, he did reprise his voice. A lot of the voices, the two main. Anyway, deleted scenes, welcome. Good to see you. We got to talk about the good old days. And since we have a sad passing of a certain movie score composer tonight, I figure I would talk about Blade Runner. And we've never actually talked about Blade Runner on the stream before. So,
nice. I'm going to front load this by saying Netter of Netter's Network, who needs to drop her link right about now in the chat. She is planning a rewatch for the anniversary of Blade Runner, since Blade Runner falls right in that.
You're in the bees.
We're in the bees and we're coming up on it. I said, why don't you just wait a couple weeks? One of her nights, because she trades off with Big Al. Big Al Presents, who should also drop his channel right now. Her night just falls on the anniversary, the actual anniversary of the release of Blade Runner. I said we should do that, and honestly, my personal opinion, I think we should do the original theatrical version.
Okay,
which might make it difficult for some of our friends.
Not difficult for me.
Unless they jump on the Cosme link that I'll share.
We have the Cosme link, and I think I do have that cut on Blu-ray because I
was going to say
the special Blu-ray set that came with all the different cuts. But we should.
I was just going to say you probably have like all the cuts if you got like a recent whatever.
Let's talk about. I'm going to tell you my history with Blade Runner, then maybe you can tell me yours.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
We are going to disagree probably, but it's okay. People disagree on this point as well. I had always heard about Blade Runner, but of course, when it came out, when did it come out? What year was that? Was that the summer where every awesome movie ever made came out?
I want to say 80. I don't know.
No, it's early 80s. It's early 80s. But
1982, June 25th, 1982.
So I think that was a big summer for movies, and I, of course, would have been 5, so too young to see that movie. But I did catch it later on network television. They said a special showing of Blade Runner. And I'm like, that's a science fiction. That sounds interesting to me. It's got that Harrison Ford guy. I know him from Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Witness, other movies that. So I figured, hey, I'm going to go check out Blade Runner network television.
He was too young to see Blade Runner, but he saw Witness. That full frontal.
No, I see Witness in that year. Okay, I saw it later. When I was 5, I couldn't see Blade
you saw
Runner.
It later. Okay.
Anyway, so I'm watching Blade Runner, and I hear the Harrison Ford voiceover come on, where he's doing his detective talk, and I changed the channel.
What? Oh, gosh.
I'm like, nope.
Threaten you.
Nope. I'm done. I'm not doing this. And I changed the channel. That was the American theatrical version they were showing. Little while later, my friend Michael, he got the he rented it, And he
Mhm.
said, "Oh, we gotta watch Blade Runner. Rent it from the video." So, okay, fine. So I stuck with it. I suspect that what was released on American VHS is the European cut. The European
Probably.
cut was slightly different than the American theatrical cut. I think it had a gorier scene in it versus Mr. Tyrell there. But
Yeah.
and then and again, it was all right, but I something about it bugged me. Years later, I saw the director's cut, the quote unquote director's cut. It was one of my first DVDs that I bought because I got my DVD player. I want something that's really going to wow me on this DVD player. And look, they have that director's cut of Blade Runner. People say it's so vastly superior, so I got that out. And that one I kind of liked, and that became my mainstay up until Ridley Scott released the final cut. I don't know if that was 10 years ago when he did that, where he released the final cut. And I do think the final cut is the definitive version. Because apparently the director's cut that he did that they released originally, that wasn't really his director's cut. That was what somebody thought his director's cut would look like. So you have the final cut, which I think takes the best of everything and puts it into one movie.
Yeah.
Your experience with Blade Runner.
So I saw it. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it almost immediately after on cable. And I really dug it. You know, I loved that film noir feel to it. I liked the voiceover. I felt that really gave it that, 1940s ish kind of feel, despite being in this cyberpunk, type, you know, noir future, right? Now I didn't play Cyberpunk or any of those kinds of games, but I had a lot of friends that did. I was into D&D and stuff, so I was obviously, there's a lot of overlap there, and a lot of guys tried getting me into Cyberpunk, and I was intrigued by the idea, but I started then getting into Star Wars, the role-playing game, which had a lot of cybernetic elements to it too. And I was like, okay, that's where I put my focus. And I loved the movie. I thought it was brilliant. I loved the, of course I loved the mystery and the whole film noir concept, but I also really liked the AI sci-fi element to it. Right. To the point that when I found out it was based on a book, I was like, wow, I really need to get that book. And it wasn't really until like almost 10 years later that I read the book. Netter got it for me. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which started my love of Philip K. Dick. Any movie that's been made from his stories, I've read those books because, man, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make the kind of comments that you would think, a book fan would make. Well, they deviate from the source material.
Yes.
I see what they were going for in the movie. I feel like there were some missed opportunities by not following the books, but at the same time, I kind of understand why they did. And in this one rare circumstance, I'm able to keep the book and the film separate and be okay with it. The one element I think was a huge miss in Blade Runner. You have Sean Young and Daryl Hannah. Technically both play, spoiler for a, 40-year-old movie, right?
Yeah. Tune out now. Okay.
Yeah. It's available for free on well, not free, but if you have a subscription to Netflix, you can watch it right now.
Gotcha.
It's those two characters should have been played by, in my opinion, the same actress, because the whole they were supposed to be the same model of replicant. So when Decker has to retire the Pris character, he struggles with it because she looks like what's her name? Sean Young's character. I'm drawing
Rachel.
Rachel. Thank you. And it's like, and how can I have feelings for Rachel if I can so casually, retire her identical sister, which really does amp up that whole, element. Right. But then you start getting into is Decker a replicant thing, which fans have debated up and down.
Order Dread, Decker is a replicant.
Yeah. And some say yes, some say no.
Obviously, I say no. But
most people will
yes.
say it also depends on which cut of the movie you watch. Some cuts push it more and some downplay it.
Final cut does, yeah.
Yeah, you I guess Harrison Ford has his opinion, and even though I happen to agree with his opinion, I do not ever think that the actor has any authority in something like that. Sorry, man, you're just the canvas.
Well, I'm a little different than you. I think that actors are artists in their own right. They're performance artists.
Well, I agree.
But I would argue, at least in this case, though, I did want to make a point that, well, the kind of replicant that Rachel was didn't realize she was a replicant, right? Because she had memories.
And that's part of the argument on the Decker side, that he wouldn't know either, having artificial memories and stuff like that. Well, Ridley Scott,
yes,
he was the director. If anything, he's got to say how he was directing it.
Yeah.
Philip K. Dick has his own opinion. He's way more subtle in his book. So if he were to come out and say, "Yep, he was absolutely a replicant," you'd be like, "I see that you hinted at that, but death of the author. Sorry, buddy." So I would give more.
Well, what about the screenwriter? What did the screenwriter?
Well,
say?
and I was going to say, all the screenwriters are really doing what the director told them to do in the adaptation, right?
It's funny because in 2049, and they actually, I think, got the same screenwriter to write the screenplay for Blade Runner 2049. They refuse to answer one way or the other if he's a replicant or not.
And that's what it should, because you know what? I'm a big death of the author type, right? Even if Ridley Scott says, "Oh yes, he's absolutely a replicant," well, I'm sorry, you didn't make that clear in your film. Therefore, it's open to interpretation. Your interpretation is not more valid than mine.
Yeah, but people are going to say Edward James Olmos's character, when he puts the origami unicorn down as a hint, hey, that's a hint back to your dream. Of course, then people say, well, Ridley Scott just pulled that scene out of what was left over for Legend or something with the unicorn.
Well, there's that element. I do find the fan theory compelling that Decker's if Decker is a replicant and his memories are imprinted on him, that those memories were taken from Edward James Olmos's character.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Future Noir: The Making of Blade Runner is a must-read. Make sure you get the revised, updated edition. Oh, right, yeah, and that's what. And I like that title, Future Noir. I think at the time when Blade Runner came out, it wasn't cyberpunk hadn't really been invented yet, so I think they called it Future Noir. And is Blade Runner cyberpunk? If it isn't, I think it's at least a progenitor of it.
Yeah,
like it set groundwork that was, of course, taken out later on.
And again, I am going to always make a positive argument for fan theories, because whether they're true or not, I think they add dimension to our films, give us things to talk about and debate in a pleasant and fun way, not in a warring way. And if you're doing it right anyway. And of course, I've had this conversation with Matt Flynn a bunch of times about how there seems to be a shared universe between Blade Runner, Terminator, Alien, and Predator. I'm not married to that, but I find it very intriguing.
Anyway, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You don't like that theory, I take.
No.
Okay.
I'm fine, though. I'm fine. Here's the deal with Blade Runner. Blade Runner was interesting in that it's a movie that I started out not liking, but over the years I do see it as the masterpiece that it is. But of course, my preferred cut actually is Ridley Scott's final cut. But it's okay if you're doing the theatrical cut on your channel. It might be cool to revisit that. And plus, that is the version that is in the Smithsonian.
I would argue that you owe it to yourself as an older man now to revisit it, because when you see it through more mature eyes, I think you will have a greater appreciation for it.
Understood. But
Now, if that doesn't turn out to be the case, no harm, no foul, as far as I'm concerned. Just give it a try.
it's interesting because, again, I think this 2049, which cut does it acknowledge, or maybe it acknowledges all of them? You know what I mean? Like, what is that a sequel to?
So, Utter to
and
Dread brings up a great point that requires you to include Blade Runner 2049 into the canon and continuity.
Oh,
He
yes,
says,
sure.
why does Decker age if he's not a replicant? The proponents of Decker as replicant would claim that unlike Batty and Priss and the other replicants that he was called on to retire, they have removed the age restriction on their replicants, and their replicants are able to age just like albeit a replicant for fashion, the way a human would, so that they can play out a lifespan just like a human would, which I don't know, in some ways has its own ethical issues as we're starting to grapple with human aging and starting to look at it as a disease and trying to prolong life and things like that. It's like, well, is it appropriate to give life to an artificial intelligence and purposely set it, with all you've done is given them more time. You haven't, done anything that's any different than that great monologue by Rutger Hauer about Tears in the Rain.
Yeah. We need to
I
talk about
don't
the rest
care
of
if
the
you
cast.
only have 6 months to live or 60 years to live. That is still such a finite amount of time in the grand scheme of time that idea of preciously short life still applies.
Also, the whole thing: do replicants even have souls? And well, is all that he is going to disappear like Tears in the Rain once he dies? That's sort of what I got from that as well.
That's why, and I love that. I love the question being raised, which of course, right there in the late 80s was when we were starting to get into Star Trek: The Next Generation, and you have episodes like Measure of a Man.
Yep.
And they bring that question up: does Data have a soul? And they try to answer that question, and the question comes down to: does he have a soul? I don't know. I don't know that I do. Fair question. Does a human really have a soul? And if a human has a soul, what is that? Is it at least in part cogito ergo sum? Right? I think, therefore I am. If you are conscious and aware and sentient, wouldn't you be eligible for a soul?
These are big philosophical religious questions that I don't know. I
know, but it's definitely fun to talk about, right? Well, no, an AI wouldn't have a soul because he was created by a human. Well, isn't every baby created by two humans? They don't give it the soul.
Yeah.
Right?
Blade Runner Alien exists in the same universe from Ridley Scott's own thoughts. Yeah, but according to Ridley Scott, does Aliens, the sequel Alien, exist in his same universe? I don't know.
If you start getting really granular about it, it does kind of fall apart because there are a lot of inconsistencies within just the Predator stories and just the Aliens.
There's some who don't even like the idea of a Predator.
And don't even get me started with how wonky and all over the place Terminator is. But the proponents of that theory will say, well, when you start messing with time travel, that can cause all kinds of wonkiness in all the other ones, right?
I suppose so. But I'm thinking too, Blade Runner as a standalone film, but of course I'm saying standalone film as there are 4 different cuts of it. Actually, if we count the work print, that's 5.
Right, exactly.
Oh no. So, but what was I going to say though? Let's talk a little bit about the Rutger Hauer great performances by the whole cast. I think everybody.
Real quick, let me say hi to Pops from Pops on Pop Culture. Good to see you here, my friend. Yes, you got here a little bit later. I was just saying that over on Netter's Network, on the anniversary of Blade Runner, we will be, which of course is June 25th, on Netter's Network, we will be doing a rewatch of the original theatrical cut of Blade Runner. And if you don't have, and any fan of Blade Runner, I would expect probably has, the multi, version edits of Blade Runner. But if you don't have it, I will be simulcasting it on Cosme so that we can all watch it together.
Yes. But yeah, and I'll try to join you for that. Actually, I've been wanting to
Sure.
do. And it's interesting though. I will rewatch the theatrical cut before that just to refresh my memory on it. Actually,
See if you can
question,
stomach it, right? Because
question for you: are you doing European or American? I guess you'll do American, right? Because that might be the more common.
I gotta look back at them myself to determine, but
It
yeah,
might be
we'll
you
see.
might do American. I don't know. I know the European. Okay, but basically, there's so much to say about Blade Runner. I think it's funny. I was trying to watch the Dangerous Days documentary that's included on the new disc where they talk about the making of it, and it's like Harrison Ford was, oh, it was horrible, and like everyone, like there are people that worked on this movie that never wanted to do a movie again after making this. That was a trouble production, and they interviewed everyone. It's funny. Edward James almost was in that, and his character says very little but says a lot. If that makes any sense, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've always said this: real skillful director and actor can say so much without a single word. You know, just a look. And this is why I have always George Lucas actually is someone that I credit with this. Any director who really gets the mise en scene, right, that understands what he's trying to communicate and then does it and then pulls that out of his actors. This is why I said not enough credit goes to people like Anthony Daniels, Ken Baker, and Peter Mayhew. You never see their faces, but they have a way of communicating. When R2D2 turns his head a certain way, and stuff like that, that communicates something to you. And that's Ken Baker understanding it. That's giving the director what he's asking for. You know what I'm saying? When you look into those eyes on Chewbacca, you get all kinds of communication, and that's why I never really took to the new kid they got playing him. It's like, you got the physical movements down, you just don't have the eyes. It's all in the eyes.
It's different. Yeah, you can't just replace and just expect it to be the same. Yeah, it's. But what was I going to say though? But
okay, so I'm looking at the DVD box. Netter just handed it to me. I'm still not going to be able to answer this during the stream tonight. Just to read off what it has. Disc 1 has the final cut from 2007.
Yes.
Disc 2 has Dangerous Days making of Blade Runner. Disc 3 has 3 complete archive versions: the 1982 theatrical cut, the 1982 international theatric cut.
Yes, that's
and
the
the
European
1992 version. Director's cut. It's not going to be the 1992 director's cut. You're right.
Maybe go with the American theatrical because that.
Maybe
I'll say this:
how I should go.
It's out of. I remember for a while when HBO would stream Blade Runner, it would be the American theatrical version. So that's probably the next common after Final Cut. So I would go with that one. But it's interesting that they have all of these different cuts, huh? And
what I'm probably going to have to do is go on and find a video and find, because even if you watch 2 different cuts of a movie, sometimes you come away with it and go, I'm not sure what was different. I mean, sometimes
no, there's something different in the European cut. It's someone getting his eyes gouged out in great detail.
Oh, that's always fun.
I think that
sounds like a Ridley Scott film. Yeah.
I think that was nipped from the American theatrical version. I think the MPAA probably did not like that.
And you know what? I'll tell you, well, I don't know. It was R-rated. They probably could have kept it in. But there is something to be said for there's horror and there's thriller, right? And I don't think Blade Runner is meant to be horror. So maybe kind of cool it on the horror element. Save that stuff for Alien.
Fathom Events is doing The Thing in mid-June. I might have to think about that. Yeah, don't forget the work print. I mentioned the work print depends. Like that's the 5th one. But yeah, actually though, we could talk about Blade Runner for hours, but we'll get the opportunity on Netter's stream. But
yep,
I did want to mention the score a little bit. You like that Blade Runner score?
Oh gosh, yeah. That wasn't the sound of the 80s. That electronic synthesizer, just Oh, it was incredible.
One of
I
the
mean,
greatest electronic scores, if not the greatest electronic score made for a movie, I think.
and
It's
obviously, you know, we're skirting around it, but we're talking about Vangelis here, right?
yes.
And he scored the 80s for us. That was my childhood.
Mhm.
And the soundtrack, the movie soundtracks that he composed are still the soundtracks I use when I game, and you know, for background in tabletop games like D&D and stuff like that. Just absolutely perfect, you know. Genius. And that's why when they got to 2017, what was it, Tangerine Dream that came in and did that soundtrack? Or I don't
No,
remember.
I
No,
don't.
who was it? Let me look.
I want to say it was Hans Zimmer came in.
Was
I
it?
think they had another person doing the score, and they ended up going Hans Zimmer to recreate a more original sounding.
You're right. It was Hans Zimmer, but it has that same feel.
They
that
want
same
it to sound like
flavor.
the original score, and I do like it. That score is interesting in that it's more like it echoes the original score, not that it's a replacement. There are a couple themes that are the same,
Mhm.
like Tears of the Rain reprises at the end of that movie, which
Sometimes you need
yeah,
those
yeah.
callbacks. I mean,
But it is kind of its own score because, of course, it's taking place 30
Yeah.
years later, right? So
Right,
in that
right,
same
right.
universe. But love that score. I own 3 different versions of it.
Yeah.
You know what happened with that? Okay, first you have I bought this at a Best Buy Blade Runner score. Okay, great. They had an orchestra do it.
Okay.
I'm hearing crickets now because
I can't even imagine that.
it's an orchestra. It's an orchestra. It's an orchestra doing the Blade Runner score, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't the synth score.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Years later, I got the 3-disc score, which they put out. I think maybe it was around the time they re-released the movie on DVD in that final cut.
Sure.
I like that cut, but it still didn't have quite, because it has like voiceovers in it from the movie, which is fine. But sometimes I just like the score.
Yeah.
And then I think one of Birdman's regulars recommended to me another company put out just the score, which is just the score from the movie, and put out a release of that. So
Nice.
I picked it up yet again. So I normally don't buy multiple copies of the same soundtrack, but that one I do have multiple copies of. So okay, but let's move on. I have to read some sad news tonight.
Yeah.
Vangelis, Oscar-winning composer of Chariots of Fire, dies at 79.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised they didn't put Blade Runner in the title. Wasn't that more well known than Chariots of Fire at this point?
I think Chariots of Fire was probably his most well-known single
Was it? Okay.
piece of music. It was on the radio.
That's true. I know the song. Dun 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 dun. It's like the Olympics theme, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't hear that without just imagining running. You know.
Yeah.
I have that well ever since high school. Actually, I've had the. I don't know if you call it the theme from Chariots of Fire or titles as it appeared on the first soundtrack, but that piece of music was always the first piece of music on my workout CD. It was my warm up. That would get me pumped. I'd use it while I was jogging, and then I'd start moving into things like Final Countdown and Eye of the Tiger and stuff like that.
That's like the workout mixtape.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Vangelis, the Greece-born composer and electronic music pioneer, won an Academy Award for his synthesizer-laden score for the Oscar Best Picture winner Chariots of Fire. Has died. He was 79. Vangelis died Tuesday at a hospital in Paris. His assistant, Lefteris Zermas, told the Washington Post no cause of death was revealed. Vangelis, who began playing piano at age 3, but never learned to read or write music, also produced the dystopian score for Ridley Scott's Blade Runner in 1982, then reteamed with the director for 1492 Conquest of Paradise in 1992. His other big screen work include Costa Gravis Missing, the Japanese film Antarctica, Roger Donaldson's The Bounty, 1984. I actually have that on Blu-ray. I need to watch it. I did pick that up. Roman Polanski's Bitter Moon, and Oliver Stone's Alexander from 2004. He talked about a movie with a lot of different cuts. That's Alexander's another one of these.
Yeah.
He turned down other movie offers. Half of the films I see don't need music. It sounds like something stuffed in, he once said. Yikes!
Yeah.
I'd like to know what Birdman's thought is on that comment. But Vangelis Music, Spin Magazine wrote in 1985, inhabits a world that is not quite rock, though his earliest support came from rock fans. Not really classical, despite the lush, almost symphonic quality of his synthesizers, and certainly not jazz, even if he does employ improvisation. His iconic space age theme to Chariots of Fire spent 4 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, sold 3 million copies within a year, was nominated for Record of the Year at the Grammys, and served as a background music during the winners' medal presentation ceremonies at the 2012 Summer Olympics in London. Nobody believed the film would be so successful, he said. When I wrote the score, I didn't write it to be #1. I did it because I liked the people I was working with. It was a very humble, low-budget film. In a radical idea for the time, Chariots of Fire director Hugh Hogan chose Vangelis, a friend, to come up with the music for his feature that was set during the 1924 Summer Olympics in Paris. You were going to say, Troy?
No, I was just going to say that my impression of his style was always, especially because he wasn't classically trained and so forth, he understood music on an emotional level, and there's something very pure to that, in my opinion. You know, I mean, someone who's a little bit more highbrow might have a different opinion, but I loved the Chariots of Fire theme so much. I petitioned my band leader at the time when I was in school to get us the sheet music so that we could play it in concert. And he allowed me to I was actually third trombone. He allowed me to play first trombone for that, just because I made that request. And it was kind of nice to be able to play the melody at the bridge. It was really nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a recording of that?
Oh, I don't think so. My mother
pity.
might, but
Okay.
yeah, we never really. And I'll be honest with you, probably wasn't as good as I remember it in my head.
I mean,
it was.
You never know.
It was an 8th grade band. I mean, I mean,
Hey, you know what? I give lots of props. I think the band never gets enough points. I think.
I agree, but I
at
the same time, I'm not foolish enough. I mean, I was in the Music Man in 8th grade too, at local dinner theater. And when I saw the movie, I kind of totally got the whole idea of parents when their kids are in a band, right? Because the kids in the band, la, 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 but in the parents' mind, and you get this in the movie, they're a full orchestra and it just sounds beautiful and every note is on key. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it sounds in my head, but I know the reality is more like that.
Yeah, well, you never know.
So I'll enjoy my memory of it.
Keep the memory. Maybe the memory's better than looking at the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Vangelis score for 1492 is very good too. I don't think I've heard that. I never saw 1492. But I do have The Bounty on Blu-ray, which I've been curious to watch because I think that has Anthony Hopkins in it as Captain Bligh. So
I actually have 1492 on DVD and haven't watched it yet. There's so many that I have that I haven't seen yet.
I collect movies, and there's still movies I own that I have not watched yet. So I need to eventually get around to watching this. And what happens is you end up buying, like, I think I bought from Kino because there were a couple movies I wanted from Kino, but to get that free shipping, I had to push over like, what's the best that they got that I don't already have? And then I'm like, oh, The Bounty, that got good reviews and it's good. Blu-ray got decent reviews. It's got audio commentary. I'll pick up The Bounty.
But I'll tell you,
on the shelf it collects dust.
I rely on people like you, Boomer, and Pops on Pop Culture and these other channels. Hey, I want to do a rewatch or I want to do a review of. Okay, I guess it's been on my list long enough. I need to watch it so that I can intelligently talk about it.
I was watching The Octagon last night. It was my birthday movie of choice. It does not hold up as well as I thought it would.
I was going to say, I vaguely remember that movie, but now that you say it doesn't hold up that well, maybe
it's
not.
all right. It's all right. It's It was the big introduction of the ninja to the
I
American
guess
audience.
if I can say how I vaguely remember that, it probably wasn't really all that great then.
No,
If it
here's what
didn't
I'll
stick
say:
in my memory.
the final fight in the octagon when it's Chuck Norris going up against the entire Ninja Clan, that's pretty incredible. I do like that. It's just everything else leading up to it. I think they could have maybe shaken 30 minutes out of that movie. That might have been better. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Octagon, though. We're here to, oh no, the next subject. But anyway, Vangelis, great composer, left a
Gone
legacy
too
behind.
soon, but he left an indelible legacy. I mean, the music that we grew up with, I think people underestimate how much it affects you and how much it shapes your life.
Yeah. So definitely he will be missed, but we have his music. So, All right. This we do not actually have an article for this one.
For which one?
Hold on. Just found a bunch of old Hanna-Barbera that's still sealed, set aside during the move. Oh, is there a Johnny Quest in there? Johnny Quest I need to rewatch one of these days, but let's move on to this is a YouTube video, so we're just going to comment on what we saw in this YouTube video. This is about the new Quantum Leap.
I do quote the two articles that they reference.
Yeah, we have that here too. I'll put those in here too.
We do.
You want to go ahead and read from those, or do you just want to talk about the video first?
Well, I guess maybe we should look at the articles first because the video is technically a commentary on those two articles.
Really?
That's my thought. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I'm sorry.
where it seems to come from.
I'm sorry I got distracted by Pops. What did you just say? I'm sorry. You want me to read from the articles?
I was thinking we should read the articles first because
then
technically the videos are talking about those articles.
And yeah, Pops, need another movie talk, age movie. You should join us. Maybe a fourth person. I'll let you know. Maybe someday I could do that. I know you typically do them during the day, right? So maybe if I have a day off sometime, maybe that might be a plan.
Yeah, I have the benefit of working from home and being in a different time zone, so I can literally shut off my work computer, hit StreamYard, and start streaming with Pops.
Like I said, you can let me know what date you have in mind, and I can let you know if I'm available. If not, we'll do another time. But it sounds like fun, though. I know you do a lot of good stuff with Troy. Okay, so let's talk about the first Quantum Leap article. Scott Bakula books NBC ranch drama as network pilot's Quantum Leap sequel. Now, I believe we had talked about this a little. Well,
we had talked about Scott Bakula sounding like he was in talks to be in the revival of Quantum Leap. Maybe not in a big role, but being the character around which the story was based, and trying to find him and whatever. And maybe they do some flashback stuff or whatever. But it sounds like now that he's signed on to something else entirely, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. It says an error occurred. Okay. Well, there's the link. I kind of messed it up. Let me just read from the article.
Yeah.
Reboot of Quantum Leap may be in the NBC, but this isn't the project wrangling Scott Bakula. But that isn't the project wrangling Scott Bakula this pilot season, according to Deadline. Said Bakula's been tapped to lead Unbroken, an NBC drama about three dynastic ranch families on the central coast of California that make love and war and a passionate struggle to survive, ultimately settling the stage for a group of fiercely determined young women to win big for all at the national championship of rodeo. What do we think? Is this like a thing going on lately? The modern Western, right? We were just watching Outer Range. That's about competing ranch families. I mean, it has a science fiction
with
twist
the science fiction, yeah.
But and then you have, I think, Yellowstone, which I was going to say
Yellowstone is a big one.
Yeah.
And what's that Canadian one?
I don't know.
Oh shoot, my mother really likes it. We just got them all for her on DVD too. I just never watched it.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm sure there's a big show up there too. So what do you think? Does this appeal to you?
Heartland, that's the name of it.
Heartland. Oh, I've seen that in the library I work for. Yeah, that's a big show.
But I love. I've been saying for a long time, I think Westerns are an untapped genre we really need to see come back. And obviously I wasn't the only one that was thinking that. So yeah, I think that's great. I think he'll be great in it. I mean, just think about the character that he played coming off of NCIS, New Orleans, right? But Yeah, that was the other big problem. He's coming off of NCIS New Orleans. The timing was perfect. It was really aligning for him to, get involved with Quantum Leap. And no, apparently the network doesn't want him.
Yes.
They decided to go a different way, it seems.
Can I just speak to this other show real quick, though? I'm just
Mhm.
learning now. Sean Cassidy's involved in this.
Ooh.
I loved all three of Sean Cassidy's failed TV shows, which were the ones in the past, which were American Gothic.
Mhm.
Have you heard of that one?
I have.
Okay, that was that had what's his name? In fact, I think the guy who's on NCIS now, the actor, I forget his name, Gary Cole. He was on
American Gothic.
American Gothic. In fact, there's a lot of Sam Raimi influence on that show because like Bruce Campbell guest starred in an episode, and I think Sam Raimi helped produce it. So, and it was a Sean Kennedy made show, very good. Young Lucas Black on that show, and then he later on did Roar, which was a took place in medieval like Britain, I think, but it was all about the Celts versus the Romans at that time.
Mhm.
And there were some supernatural elements in there too. And then later on, he did a show called Invasion, which was sort of a take on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I thought had a really strong first season. And all shows have a habit of getting canceled after the first season. So I might actually give this a shot now that I know that Sean Cassidy's involved. So that actually does pique my interest. But I didn't mean to sidetrack us because, of course, we know Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap. And what did we learn from that YouTube story?
Pop makes a great point. He says, is this Bakula story a tit for tat deal to secure a cameo for the network's Quantum Leap reboot? Well, one could argue that if you're doing something for the same network, that should maintain your availability to them. So I could see that theory. However, when you hear comments like they decided to go a different way,
Yeah,
and then you start looking at the cast of the new show and you start going, well, it's like I say about a lot of things. One thing in isolation doesn't mean much. You start taking a bunch of things and putting them together, you start going, yeah, it's too much for me to overlook.
This YouTube video, they were trying to cite my perspective on this is that I almost want to say this is a reboot, but I think they're still mentioning the Scott Bakula's character's name on the show, but they're not going to have him on it, which doesn't make sense because you could always have him show up in an episode or two, right?
Well, like
there'd be a mystery. There'd be a mystery surrounding him. Yeah.
That was what the fans were actually theorizing, that the whole idea to continue the Quantum Leap program is we need to find what happened to Dr. Sam Beckett. Someone has to go in and try to find him.
And I thought it'd be something along the lines of Fringe, where like Leonard Nimoy was a character in that universe, but he would only show up every now and then. He wasn't on every episode.
And just to give attribution, the YouTube video that we're talking about is over on the Popcast channel, POPCAST. So just to give attribution.
Yes,
they've got some good videos over there.
Yes, in fact, I'll post that link right now. I think I did earlier, but it's here's my worry about it though. My big worry about this is that Scott Bakula, according to what the sources say, was very much wanting to be involved in the show, correct? And they said we're going in a different direction, and they still gave him another show, so it's not like they kicked him out entirely. But the impression I got from that video was that they're trying to go for, I guess, younger audience, like the Zoomers, the millennials, trying to get them to stream Peacock and buy Peacock, and they figured that's not going to work with Scott Bakula on the show.
I don't know.
Is that the impression you got?
Maybe. That's why, speaking to what Pops is saying here, he says, I wouldn't rule out a Mando Luke Skywalker gimmick scene. I agree with you that could very well be, but I'm more concerned about a Last Jedi Luke Skywalker being done to Sam Beckett's character.
Like he's the villain now or something.
Well, or like he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He's an idiot. Let's get the young girl in there and she can fix everything.
Like all the people you saved gave birth to horrible people in the future. I don't know what they'll do. Like I said, I wasn't really a big Quantum Leap watcher back in the day, but I always felt the idea that he was trying to fix things and make people's lives better, and that was the point of the show, right? And
not to mention that, I mean, gosh, his stories were without a doubt the most progressive thing on TV. And I mean progressive in the most positive way. I mean, he addressed racism and sexism and abuse and mental retardation and all kinds of things that were pretty taboo subjects on television. And they dealt with it in a genius way, you know?
And there's nothing saying that this new show couldn't have been about passing the torch and other things like that, right?
I definitely have my concerns, though.
But it seems like they just kicked him out entirely. And again, this ranch show, actually, now that I learned, especially about Sean Cassidy's involvement, I think I will look into it now.
I'm definitely
as a producer.
That's the funny thing too, right? They're both on NBC, and I'm gonna watch, the one with Scott Bakula in it, and that one is not Quantum Leap. I'm probably not gonna watch Quantum Leap any more than I watched the Magnum PI reboot or I don't know, any other TV reboot.
Well, the Magnum PI reboot, I watched it initially for the first few seasons just because I did like the two lead actors from other things. So if I like an actor, I'll watch it. But again, I couldn't bring myself to watch the latest season. But the other issue though is that they rebooted MacGyver. Were you aware of that? Did you watch the rebooted MacGyver at all?
No, I did not. Same reason.
It had a lot of problems on it. They cast a great actor to play the arch nemesis. Forgot the guy's name, the assassin that MacGyver always ended up. They did cast a great actor to play him, but that show they would start story arcs and then throw them away every 10 episodes. It was a disaster, and I'm worried this Quantum Leap is going to go the same way. And
Pops, I'm not dismissing it out of hand. I'll wait and see, but I'm not going to waste my time on it. I'll wait until I hear from, people that I respect who come back and say, you know what? Yeah, it wasn't really that bad. And then maybe I'll check it out. That's how I've done it with a lot of new stuff these days.
I'll
let a whole season go by before, it was actually 2 seasons before I watched, Stranger Things, and then I was like, okay, this sounds good enough. I can go ahead and binge this thing.
Keep in mind when we first learned about this a few weeks ago that Troy was actually very optimistic.
I'm less optimistic now, but that doesn't mean I'm completely...
Just because we kind of feel like Scott Bakula was pushed aside. Does that necessarily mean the show is going to be bad? No, but it gives us some trepidation. I mean, I like Ernie Hudson. He's going to be on it, but I kind of feel like, is it being made for the original fans of the show? I don't know if you can say that. I guess we'll see. But
yeah, look, it's just, come on. People really need to have a little bit of compassion for people that have been burned so many times that they're not willing to trust anymore. You start to feel like a whipped puppy. You just got to go, okay, that's fine. You can wait and see. You might be right. You might be wrong. But this whole idea, you're not willing to give anything a try. You're a black pill, you know what? I'm sorry. I just don't have time for that anymore.
We're in between both sparts. It's like the ones that are super negative. Like I said, we'll see if we hear a good buzz about it and people online are giving it good write-ups. We'll, like, say if you decide to watch it and you think it's worth seeing, maybe we'll give it a shot. But
yeah,
we'll see.
There's been more than one show that I didn't really want to give it a chance to, and I've had, people say, no, check this out. Another one was Cobra Kai. I had no interest in Cobra Kai. I'm like, oh gosh, they're going to turn the bad guy into the good guy, make the good guy the bad guy. Da, 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 da. And I want to say maybe it was Big Al who said, no, it's not that simple. It's much more nuanced. It's a really good story. And I checked it out, and well, let's face it, Cobra Kai, it's awesome. So,
the first trailer for Cobra Kai was brilliant because it kind of sucker punches you if you're a fan of the original Karate Kid. Because first you have, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names tonight. The antagonist of Daniel's son, who
Tommy?
Tommy.
Tommy, yeah.
No,
No. Johnny
yes.
Lawrence.
Johnny Lawrence. Okay. And he's lying on the ground, and you see the puke in the bottle of the beer, in the can of beer. And I'm like, yeah, that's where you are. And that's where you deserve to be. And I'm like saying that. And it's like, what's this? Wait a minute. It's from his point of view. Wait a minute. Daniel's. And then people, I'm reading the comments on the video, and one guy wrote, Daniel was always the villain. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching other videos like deconstructing scenes from original Karate saying that, here Daniel is escalating a conflict here. Because Johnny
like
was.
I said, I think it was.
And they're
Big
saying
Al.
that Johnny is not a perfect person. They're not saying that. It's that Daniel is not the hero, and I'm like, no. But I thought the show handled that.
That's
idea
what
well.
I think. Big Al pointed out to me that there's this series of videos that have been out for a while, long before Cobra Kai. This whole concept that Daniel was really the villain, and if you look back, and when they break it down, you're like, especially as an adult, right, looking back on these kids and the way they were acting, it's like, yeah, Daniel was kind of a dick too. I mean, that doesn't excuse Tommy and his guys being bullies, but yeah, Daniel kind of instigated some of this. And I think it was, I insist, at least this is how I choose to remember it, that it was Big Al that got me to watch. He goes, yeah, they really get into that kind of nuance, and nobody's really the bad guy, at least not initially, and they both need to kind of learn. And yeah, that's really what it comes down to. They really, and I'm like, okay, I can dig this. This is actually some really, really good writing.
What I make a point too, if you watch this, at least in part 2, I think, or in the end of part 1, I think Johnny Lawrence still has to concede Daniel won. He won fair and square, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, and
well, even that could be debated by somebody who really knows the rules of martial arts competitions. Wait a minute, you don't get to punch somebody in the face. That would be the disqualification.
But then they sweep the leg, and even Johnny was uncomfortable doing the sweep the leg, right? He's like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, and
that was, and with what I thought was brilliant about Cobra Kai is they come back and they even address those like fan comments where I think it was Johnny says to him, you kicked me in the face. That's not legal. He goes, oh yeah, well, sweeping the leg isn't either. And you kind of get that. Yeah, they were both kind of wrong. And doesn't really. I think it was his wife who ends up saying, who cares who won a freaking tournament and got an award,
And then Johnny says, shut up, the men are talking here. No, I'm kidding.
He gets put in his place by the women a couple times too. And I'll tell you, it's a great one for me to watch with my wife because we both kind of get into each other's roles, as we watch the movie.
It's great what I've seen of it. I need to get caught up on it as well, but I didn't really enjoy that first season. But Pop's in a point, the crazy woke press and promotion pushed me out. Oh, the new Quantum Leap. I have to say, yeah, they that's not helping matters.
And that's something
we've talked about woke marketing before. Too.
Yes,
something can actually not be woke, but the way they present it.
I am getting tired of this defense of it wasn't as woke as they made it out to be.
And that is
not a good endorsement for something. It's not as woke as they make it out to be. Then that was bad marketing. Okay. The fact that I didn't want to see it because of the way they marketed it is bad marketing, and they deserve to have low sales or low attendance or whatever the case is, because they went about it stupidly, but it also means they know how to push the buttons and they're being disingenuous. And I mean the makers of these shows. It makes me think of Jeremy Boring with Jeremy's Razors. Don't give your money to people that hate you. Give it to, well, I can't really say that I love you, but I don't, feel any particular hatred for you. And that's why I subscribe to Jeremy's Razors now. I'm expecting them to arrive this week.
Great. Let us know how they are.
Not a sponsorship. This is not a sponsor.
You could always do an unboxing, or maybe not. Maybe you won't like them.
I'm not going to do an unboxing, but I would probably post a picture and tweet it out.
Matanui. I was gonna this. I thought it was a perfect segment to talk about the bulk marketing and going into the Netflix woke, but I have to read Matanui's comment now
Yeah,
about Cobra Kai. Being a dick isn't the same thing as being a villain.
that's absolutely right.
That
And
sums
that's
up
a
the show.
perfect
Yeah,
summation of
Johnny
what Johnny
Lawrence,
Lawrence is. He was a dick, and he even comes to the realization that he was a dick. And I kind of feel like Daniel kind of realizes, looking back, because they do a lot of flashbacks. There was that whole thing in at the end of well, really at the beginning of Karate Kid 2, where he sees Johnny get, trashed by his coach, and Mr. Miyagi steps in to protect the kid.
And then what does Mr. Miyagi say? I remember. I can tell you. Not bad student, bad teacher.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that comes back in Cobra Kai, but Daniel remembers that, and it's like, yeah, I kind of got to keep that in mind. And then, he ends up going and making some of the same mistakes, and, having to remind himself, oh, wait, bad teacher, bad students. If the student acts bad, did I teach them the right lessons? His wife comes in to remind him of that. And I know there's a lot of people that could go, oh yeah, the wife, talking to the guy and teaching him. I'll tell you what, man, I know the women in my life. There's a reason that men and women are different. Women have a wisdom that men need to listen to.
Yeah.
They really do. When I say that my wife completes me, she absolutely does. She comes to me for certain things, but I need to rely on her for certain things too. That's the yin and yang.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Netflix woke purge.
Well, here's hoping anyway. Let's get into it.
Netflix woke purge latest layoffs target vocal SJW staff working on original content about marginalized communities. Okay. Netflix's recent axing of 290 staff targeted many of the film firm's wokest workers who are prolific social justice warriors on social media, it has been claimed. The struggling streaming service has pulled the plug on several projects that were aimed at discussing race and LGBTQ issues, Variety reported, and acts at diverse employees working on and promoting them. A total of 150 recruitment workers were fired, as well as 70 animators and 70 contractors working on promotional materials for the firm, including social media and publishing. Those promotional workers were assigned to work on Netflix projects Strong Black Lead, the Asian American Focus Golden, the Latino Focus Con Todo, and the LGBTQ Focus Most. That's weird. That reminded me when Disney was having their own names for groups at their park. That was...
Yeah.
Okay. Netflix claimed its latest layoffs were due to a slowdown in revenue and decline in subscribers, but critics online say that many of those given the boot were from minority groups, and others have speculated that the firings were part of a woke clear-out. Common Sense with Barry Weiss's weekly TGIF newsletter said the company framed the firings as layoffs by 150 people doesn't really make a dent in the company of 11,000 people. Those 150 happen to include, just by chance, some of the most Twitter-active social justice workers in the place. The streamer has found itself at odds with some woke staff who've gone on the record to slam their employer over shows they deem harmful, including Dave Chappelle's The Closer comedy special. Among the newly fired were Olivia Truffaut-Wong and Lydia Wong, who shared their upset over Twitter. I was laid off today. I was laid off by Netflix today. Wong tweeted on Tuesday. I really love my job and my colleagues, and I'm a little heartbroken. Truffaut-Wong also wrote on Tuesday, okay, yes, I am one of the Tudum layoffs, laugh out loud. I did a lot of work I'm proud of, met a lot of really awesome writers and editors, and made great friends. It's a cycle of media life. All right. H. Drew Blackburn, another laid-off employee, recalled the turbulent saga where he did not know whether or not he had a job. An editor of Netflix's Little Tudum project just called me offering me a job with Tudum again, Blackburn tweeted after he was fired. Then called me back 20 minutes later to say they had the wrong Drew. Bright minds over there for sure. Okay.
So, okay. Let's speak. This is Geeky Geezers with PaPa Pacelli. I like to think that as geezers, we bring some maturity and wisdom. right? We've
Okay.
been around, we've been in the workforce. We understand professionalism. We understand how business works, right? There was always a rule that when you are terminated, you shut your mouth. You never say anything negative about your previous employer. Certainly not publicly. Definitely not to the press or on TV or anything like that. Maybe when you go home to your wife, you vent a little bit, but you do not shoot off your mouth about what a horrible place that was to work and, you know, how stupid they are and unprofessional and da 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 da. And especially if you have some sort of a legal problem with them, if you feel that it was a bad work environment or something, you're bringing charges, you shut your mouth. Your attorney will tell you, you shut your mouth. You say nothing to nobody. You say nothing to nobody except me. And I will ask you the questions and you will answer them at the appropriate time, because that's how you lose a lawsuit. Unfortunately, we live in an age where dumbasses like this, stupid kids, have their opinions about their jobs and their bosses and stuff, and then they shoot their mouth off on social media. Now, what's even worse is when these are situations like this that are high profile, their social media becomes newsworthy and quoted in various news outlets. So then you go for a job somewhere else and they're looking at your CV and they're checking your references, and then they do a social media search on you and they see what you've been posting and they see your posts about your previous boss. Oh, really? Is this you? You said this about your previous boss? Tell me about your previous boss. Why was it so bad? Really? And if at some point, you know, we have some layoffs here, you're going to be saying some stuff about us? Yeah, okay, don't call us. We'll call you. And
Can I read some more comments?
Oh, go for it.
Matt Acuna, an animator for Bob's Burgers, also criticized Netflix for the layoffs while taking on other projects with wealthy backers. He tweeted, "What a great day for Netflix to announce they're giving Ron Howard, a millionaire with no experience in animation, full control of an animated movie while simultaneously snuffing out projects specifically focusing on marginalized groups. Funny timing, huh?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm assuming he's not actually working there. I think I got that confused. But Ron Howard is going to bring in the money. That's why they hired him.
Yeah.
He's a name.
And look, there are laws that apparently these dumb people, bumblechucks, want to overturn, that are there specifically to make sure that everyone's got an even playing field, that they don't make decisions based on race or color or gender or preferences. All of those laws exist already to protect you. Okay. If you're going to go around and expect greater than equal treatment, things aren't really going to go really well for you. It's just the way it is. And yeah, ultimately, the guy that's doing better than you, that puts out a better product, that is selling, that is making money, is always going to do better. That doesn't matter if they're white, if they're black, Asian, Martian, whatever.
Yeah. And apparently a lot of these projects getting canceled, I guess they weren't things that were going to be driving people to the subscription service, right?
Yeah.
And here we go. It goes on to say
the other thing I wanted to point out that the article doesn't bring up is when you got a bunch of wokesters getting fired and it's almost exclusively wokesters at the company. Well, it's kind of hard to say they're singling out wokesters when that's all there is. Right?
Well, Netflix's show about a pregnant man he's expecting was cited as a prime example of content designed to appeal to a tiny minority that had sent viewers switching off in their droves. Okay.
And they have the ability to see how many people are watching this. They know what people say when they cancel their subscriptions. They pay attention to these things because they're a business.
Yeah, it also what people are watching and if they give comments on why they're quitting the service. Woke staff anchor Dave Chappelle's The Closer comedy special also illustrated the internal strife of the film. A small but extremely vocal minority of Netflix staffers accused the streamer of harming transgender people by simply letting Chappelle defend author J.K. Rowling unchecked. Okay.
See,
But yeah.
and this is the kind of thing that we've talked about many times. It's probably not a good idea when you are in a high profile position to be making political statements or taking sides on social media and stuff like that. You know, the professional person would just be, hey, I'm in a new movie. I'm looking really forward to it. Hope you come out and see it, you know, and all kinds of positive, and kind of always stay away from the negative, right? If you are in the entertainment industry at all, you never want to, you know, marginalize any portion of your potential viewership ever about anything. And most companies would have some sort of a clause that says you go doing stuff like that potentially loses us business, you will be fired.
Yeah. And apparently more series are getting canceled. Ava DuVernay's Wings of Fire animated series adaptation not moving forward at Netflix.
Yeah, you shared this one with me. I don't know who she is or what this Wings of Fire is even all about. So when I heard
shared this with you,
I thought you did.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Like
maybe
right
I did.
after I shared the Netflix.
Okay, all right. I don't remember. Okay, Ava DuVernay's Wings of Fire.
I may actually have it the other way around. Actually, I don't know.
I don't. Well, maybe I did and I forgot. Okay, Ava DuVernay's Wings of Fire, an animated series adaptation of the family fantasy books, which has been in development on Netflix since 2020, is the latest victim of animation cuts. The streamer sources close to the project confirm at deadline. We hear several other projects are not moving forward as well. DuVernay's Wings of Fire, written by 2T Sutherland, was to be adapted into 10 40-minute episodes. The series was centered around a bitter war that has raged for generations between the dragon tribes who inhabit the epic world of Pihira. Okay, well, I'm sure the young adult fans will butcher me over that. According to the prophecy, 5 young dragons will rise to end the bloodshed and bring peace back to the land. All right, so that's been canceled. So yeah, so it looks like they are chopping the fat, or cutting the fat, I should say. What do you think is going on there? Do you think that they're in big trouble?
I don't know. See, and that's, you're probably thinking exactly what I was about to comment on. On the one hand, I think there is let's back up. We talked about this, was it last week or the week before? Netflix is obviously in some very serious financial straits. They lost more than 50% of their viewership. They're hurting very, very bad. They've lost, we've been saying for a long time, they're losing all the content of all the other content creators that are taking it to put on their own streaming services. Pretty soon, all they're going to have left is the content for other producers that don't have their own streaming service and their own content, and they're having less and less content as well. From a business standpoint, they can't afford to take huge risks, and they definitely can't afford to be shoveling money into something that is a known loser for them, and that being the woke ideological stuff,
like the he's pregnant show. And
yes,
stuff like
exactly. So they're clearly backing away from all of that sort of stuff.
And do they have good original content to fall back on? For instance, let's take a look at Disney. Whatever we think of Disney, Disney has their whole back catalog of old films. They have stuff set in Marvel. They have stuff, Star Wars series. They have these name brands,
and that's what I mean about all the other streaming.
But what is Netflix? I mean, HBO Max has all this HBO. It has Warner Brothers. It has Warner Media stuff. It has a lot of IP. So if they decide to do some of these woke shows, they're able to cover the loss because people are maybe subscribing to watch other things on there, right?
Yeah.
So
and so.
Amazon and Apple, that's not even where they make their mony from. So they can put whatever they want on their streaming services.
We could focus on the Netflix chopping out all of the woke stuff and firing woke people and so forth. But that's not the whole story. There's also the fact that they are floundering. They are dying. This could be the last gasp You know, it's maybe it's just too little, too late.
Because what are their big shows? They had a House of Cards, but then there was the Kevin Spacey debacle.
Yep.
So that fell apart like a House of Cards. Then we had, what was the next series? We had Stranger Things, which I think is still going strong, despite what I had thought about season 3. I think there's still a big audience for that show, but they're taking forever to get that 4th season out. There's The Crown.
That's actually coming out this week, isn't it?
The Crown?
No.
Yeah, Stranger Things, yeah.
Stranger Things.
So I don't know if that's going to give them a boost. People are going to hop on again to watch Stranger Things season 4. But I don't know if that's enough. Like, this is the time where they actually have to be bringing the audience, and they can't be worried about this politicizing stuff. Even though I don't believe in that in general, I don't think they can afford it right now because they need to be spending time on getting people to subscribe with all this originals.
I'm looking. I'm seeing a whole lot of shows that I've never heard of. Yeah, there's Stranger Things. There's something called Dark.
What's that?
The Umbrella Academy, which I have no interest in.
Yeah, I think that was based on
Bridgerton, which I also have no interest in.
Okay. I don't know. I think the writing's on the wall, but we'll see.
Lupin, which I don't think has anything to do with the Lupin you've told me about.
No, I don't think it's necessarily a bad show, though. It's because you have to understand, Arsène Lupin is a literary character from France that was late 1800s, early 20th century.
Well, apparently now he's a black guy.
No, but to be fair, I believe on this show it's a modern thief that took inspiration from the literary character. Now he's calling himself Lupin, from my understanding. So it's not like it's like if someone's a fan of Sherlock Holmes and changes their name to Sherlock to honor the character. So,
and I look at Bridgerton and I see another historical piece that's got a very diverse cast that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the historical period they're putting it in, but what the hell? I mean,
that's part
that kind of gets into exactly where Netflix is right now.
Yeah. But She-Hulk, but again, I can't speak to that Lupin show. It's a French, it's also in French too, so I don't know if that helps it.
Mm-hmm.
Dark is a German show. It looks like they have a lot of, in the vein of the X-Files, subtitle very good. Yeah, it looks like they have a lot of.
Well, and there you go. There's another one. If it's a German show, it's not a Netflix original, is it? That's them getting stuff from somewhere else.
Well, no, it could also be a show that Netflix made for the German market, and then they just put it on the international. Like they had a Ju-On series based on the Ju-On Grudge movie.
Oh,
and they had
really?
It was only like 4 episodes long. It's kind of funny because it was very not woke and kind of graphic and stuff. And
I would imagine, yeah.
But I think it was made for Netflix Japan, because you're trying to sell your subscription service over in Japan, and it's like, well, this is all American stuff. Well, here's an exclusive Japanese show for you on this, and we'll also throw it on the American version. It's kind of like with Go ahead.
I was going to say maybe it's not too late for Netflix. Maybe they are going to learn from their mistakes, capitalize on their successes, and look at the things that have done well for them. Maybe this Dark is something that's really good. Maybe something like Ju-On, Stranger Things, whatever, all the stuff that's doing well, and go do more of that kind of stuff. That's what you usually hear the Hollywood executives saying, right? Now's the time to do it. It's about the only thing that might save Netflix.
Yeah. We'll see. It's interesting though. Their tact is different than what I'm seeing on HBO Max. But look for that Tuesday on Mr. Matchstick's channel, because I'm going to be talking about an HBO Max show, which is interesting. It's what I call a bilingual show.
Okay.
It's a trend happening lately, and I think it's an interesting and smart trend, and I'll explain it on Tuesday. It's not the first one of these I've seen either. But let's go on to Disney. She-Hulk reportedly a mess. Details on Mark Ruffalo's role possibly leaked. Did you see the She-Hulk trailer?
I
Troy?
did see the She-Hulk trailer.
What'd you think?
You can probably tell by the thumbnail that I put together for it, where I put Princess Fiona's ears on She-Hulk.
I have watched that She-Hulk trailer at least 5 times because I'm marveling at it, because it's like watching a car accident. Like you can't bear to watch, but you can't look away. What has happened to Marvel?
Yeah.
I'm watching this. This is not. This is. This feels like people that wanted to make an Ally McBeal show, an Ally McBeal
Kinda.
type show, and they said make a She-Hulk show. I said, well, we'll just have it be a She-Hulk being a lawyer. And was she a lawyer in the comics? Is that canon?
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
Okay.
she is. I mean, there's so much. I'd say about half of that trailer was like, yes, this is She-Hulk. This is good. This is, but then the other half is like, no, oh God, So good.
You
on the
like
good
you
side,
like you like the actress. You said you liked.
Oh,
her.
yeah.
Yes.
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah.
Love her. They couldn't have cast the character better. Okay, she was in. Those of you who don't know the name, she's probably best known for. Oh God, what was the name of that show that Netter and I used to watch? What was it? Or Orphan Black, where she plays, a kind of normal person who finds herself in the middle of all kinds of craziness, finds out that she's actually a clone, and there's a whole bunch of clones that look just like her, and one speaks Russian and from another country, and there's one of them's someone else from somewhere else, and suburban mom, lesbian girl. I mean, she plays the whole gambit of people that look just like her,
Right.
as all as different as possible. And it's the same person playing these roles. She's a phenomenal actress, no doubt about it.
Okay.
They're bringing Tim Roth back as Abomination.
I saw that trailer and I'm like, who's the guy in the cell? And I'm like, oh, I forgot all about Tim Roth's Abomination.
Yes, going back to the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, well, that's good. I'm kind of fired up about that. But then at the same time, I see that Titania is being played by Jamil. What's her name? Jamil or whatever.
Oh.
She can just sit on a red hot poker for all I care.
Do I know who that is?
She was in that TV show, the Good Place, the Bad Place, whichever one it is. With
I don't know. The Good Place.
The Good Place, yeah, that's.
I
what
guess
it was.
I didn't see it, so I don't know. Okay.
She's and
is she her lawyer friend that was in the bar with her?
Let's just say that she and Mark Ruffalo probably get along really, really well.
Okay. Well, he's going to be on this show as well, apparently. We have Professor
Hulk back. Incredibly marginalized and very idiotized, considering he's supposed to be one of the smartest people in the MCU. He's made to look kind of doofy in the footage I've seen so far.
I'm going to be perfectly blunt, and I didn't really notice it until like Endgame. I've really hated what's happened with the Hulk, especially as Disney's taken it over now.
Yep.
I think they couldn't do a standalone Hulk movie for a while because Universal still had the rights to do standalone Hulk movies. I think now Disney has that back now. I think they got it back.
Yes, but now they have no interest in doing any white male-led show at all.
The Hulk,
they are going full on MCU.
Because I remember seeing that Edward Norton movie and I was really pumped. I actually liked. I'll be blunt. I kind of, in some ways, I liked it better than Iron Man when it came out that summer, and I was looking forward to seeing more Hulk movies. I know it didn't do the box office that they were hoping it would do. It did okay, but it wasn't. And then they didn't bring Norton back when they did the Avengers movie, and they replaced him with Mark Ruffalo, and that kind of bugged me because there were little touches, even in the Ang Lee Hulk movie. I think in both instances when the Hulk transformed, the voice of the Hulk was Lou Ferrigno. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
And then it was Mark Ruffalo when they brought Mark Ruffalo just does the voice now,
right?
When he turns to the Hulk, and it's little things like that bug me. And now he's Professor Hulk, so it's all big joke about the violence and all this. And it's like I kind of want the big angry Hulk back.
And by the way, you asked
and the cold scientist. Anyway, go ahead. What
you asked who Titania was?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's another Marvel character. She was kind of a She-Hulk frenemy kind of thing in the comics. In the comics, she was a redhead, so another ginger being diversify.
They don't. I'm thinking they just don't like redheads in general in Hollywood right now.
They
I
don't
know
like
what
white
it is.
people, and red hair is like ultra white as far as they're concerned.
Well, it's also Irish though, and they don't. Well, it's not Irish. It's actually, to be fair, you do find red hair in many different ethnicities, so it's not just.
But
Irish,
it does tend to be more Irish and Scottish. Yes.
Yeah, but it does appear almost everywhere. But yeah, it's. I'm just. I don't know. Anyway, let's read the first article.
Mary McPherson, I'm guessing, yeah, that would be Scottish. So yeah, I think so. So again, it's another one of those the war on gingers in Hollywood.
She-Hulk, which has primetime Emmy winner Tatiana Maslany, Orphan Black, starring in the lead role, is arguably one of Marvel Studios' more anticipated Disney Plus series, especially considering all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe tie-ins the show is rumored to contain. However, despite the excitement, a recent report suggested there might be some trouble in paradise and the show was experiencing production difficulties, with the Anklers' Jeff Schneider saying, "I've heard not good things behind the scenes," which is what might have led to the project being delayed. Yeah, they announced this a while ago, didn't they?
Yeah.
Now we have another note from former Hollywood Reporter, editor, and Puck co-founder Matthew Baloney, who seemingly corroborated the initial report, independently noting that he's also heard it's a mess. In his latest newsletter, where he covered the growth of Disney Plus and its future, Baloney had also broke down the first week performance of the live-action Marvel Studios series on Disney Plus, comparing the Avengers-fronted shows Hawkeye, 14.2 million, Loki, 12.2 million, Falcon Restored, 8.3 million, WandaVision, 7.2 million, versus the only show that introduced a new character, Moon Knight, 7 million. It seems like they keep going down. I guess WandaVision was first, though, right? And that was also low. Contemplating Marvel Studios' strategy moving forward on the platform, he shared the following tidbit and also revealed that Mark Ruffalo apparently only has a small role in the series, although it seems the likely he'll feature prominently in marketing the help drum of interest. Yeah, we saw that in the trailer, right? We see him there. You know, hey cousin, right? And he's giving
and
you the test.
What's not clear, but it seems to imply, oh yeah, these powers have worked out so great for me. Let me blast you with gamma radiation, make you a Hulk too.
What happens exactly there? Because I couldn't get the point from the trailer. Was it an accident? Did she volunteer for it?
So
I don't understand.
I don't know what they're doing in this monstrosity, but in the comics, it was she needed a blood transfusion, and her cousin Bruce Banner happened to be nearby and had the right blood type, but the gamma radiation in her blood just set her off the same
Interesting.
way.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. So her makeup is not exactly like that of the Hulk's, right? They kind of did something similar
over the years. They have explored why the Hulk is the way the Hulk is, and we've had Gray Hulk, we've had Green Hulk, we've had Savage Hulk, we've had Professor Hulk, we've had Red Hulk, and all of this comes down to whether you like the storyline or not. In the comics, they got to Professor Hulk is a great example of how maybe the Hulk should be if the host of this ability is pretty even keel when Banner is at his healthiest mentally, but he apparently has what they used to call multiple personality disorder, where he'd because of abuse as a child, he would regress into a raging childlike character, and he had all these other different personalities in him that would manifest in different ways through his Hulk ability. And it doesn't seem like She-Hulk had that. She maintained the same knowledge and intelligence and everything, kind of like Professor Hulk, but a little bit more of the hormone thing going on. So well, and I mean, that's just fine. It's there's nothing wrong with that implicitly. It's what you decide to do with it that does make it a problem. And this is not the fertile ground you want to be planting that particular woke seed in. to be
No.
honest with you. I have noticed Auditor Dread and some others have been talking about the CG. There's really no excuse for that.
We'll just hop
Horrible-
into the next article. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I sent you more than one article, didn't I?
Well, no, we had two. I sent you the CG. You sent me the other one. So I have one
Oh,
on the
gotcha,
CG.
gotcha.
Marvel fans upset over She-Hulk CG in the new trailer. Yeah, this is. It's kind of off-putting, especially when she's looking, I guess, at her Tinder dates or something.
Yes.
And she's
It
like
looks like
she
a cartoon.
smiles,
Yeah.
and it's like a cartoon smile, and it's
It
like,
looks terrible.
I mean, I give them points. At least they didn't. They made her look. You know, they made her nice looking when she turns into She-Hulk. At least they still kept that.
I not only will say that she not only looks, in many ways she looks like the John Byrne era of She-Hulk, which arguably was the best run for She-Hulk. They even got her outfit right. I think that's supposed to be like an exercise suit that she's wearing, that purple and white thing, but it was spot on her outfit from the comics, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's a sharp nod. But then later on, there's an episode or a scene of her in like a business suit, like she's going to court or something. I'm like, yep, that's the John Byrne era too, because she was, just the She-Hulk. She was the attorney. She'd show up in court all green because she was just a big and tall woman. And
I have a question though. Didn't the comics, didn't she say that way permanently? And this, she's transforming. Is that right?
Yeah, it's there's some definite parallels between her decision to do that and the whole Professor Hulk thing.
Okay.
You change. Why bother changing? This is how I am. I'm okay with this. I'm in control of it. I'm not a rampaging monster. And let's face it, from She-Hulk's point of view, and she's looking pretty banging like that. So, okay. I've seen a lot of outlets, both for and against this show, drawing comparisons to between She-Hulk, this incarnation of She-Hulk, and Lady Dimitrescu from the video game. This whole idea of a hot, voluptuous, larger woman.
Yes.
With feet that can crush you, because apparently there's some guys that are into that.
Yeah. You know what? To each his own, I guess.
Exactly.
Hulk has long been pushed aside in the MCU as the Green Avenger. Hasn't starred in a solo outing since 2008, The Incredible Hulk, in which he was played by Edward Norton. Yes, I missed that movie. Mark Ruffalo has taken over as Bruce Banner for 8 live-action appearances, but he has yet to take the solo spotlight again. To some degree, that all changes this year with She-Hulk. The 9-episode Disney Plus legal comedy will star Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters, the cousin of Bruce Banner, who gets her own gamma green transformation after a blood transfusion. Marvel Studios has introduced plenty of CGI characters over the years, but this will be the first time a motion capture character will take the leading role in Disney Plus. With visual effects holdups plaguing Hollywood productions and causing delays due to the pandemic-induced backlog, Marvel Studios couldn't have picked a much worse time for this step, as reports indicate the backlog is only just beginning to ease. The first full look at She-Hulk just debuted, and not everybody is happy. Trying to think of an actress you would pick to play the actual She-Hulk if you were using an actor like Lou Ferrigno.
Well,
I'm already thinking who it is, but I'm not going to say
back when Lou Ferrigno was playing the Hulk, they were planning on
She-Hulk show. Yeah.
What was her name? She was Dolph Lundgren's wife in Rocky IV.
Okay.
What's her name?
Brigitte
Nielsen. Yeah.
Yeah.
They even had even done like promotional shots, what do you call it, proofs or whatever, photographs of her in an outfit as the She-Hulk. It's probably best that show never actually happened.
That's true that there's a lot of tall woman fetish out there. Okay.
Well, the other thing is they tend to focus on that scene of her leaping and coming in feet first. And it's like, Okay, they got the foot fetish thing going on too.
Uh,
Which of course is also upsetting a bunch of the wokeist because it's like, oh, you're fetishizing this, sexualizing. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, because we actually want people to watch this piece of trash.
Okay. She-Hulk, attorney at law, looks like a lot of fun. Tatum was like, but perfect for the role. Abomination, Professor Hulk. The CGI doesn't look great, but I still think show's going to be upset. This is somebody from popular social media star Soup shared his praise, but then he mentioned that. Okay. TikTok star Andrew Visual compared the effects to a video game cutscene placed in live action. I'm sorry, he's right. Marvel is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. I don't care that She-Hulk is the show. It has to look better than that. It looked like a video game cutscene placed in live action. So many Netflix and Amazon shows way better CGI and visual effects. I don't see an excuse. Hope it improves, to be honest. Yeah, Outer Range, good CG effects in that, don't you think? At least.
Yeah, I mean, there were
That's
times when I didn't even realize,
Yeah.
that the CG was happening.
Exactly.
And look, I tend to follow the corridor crew and stuff like that, where they do the commentaries and the fixes and all that on CG, and it's like, look. And not to mention, I've seen the CG from fan films that I look at sometimes and can't tell, from Hollywood blockbusters. It's like, I'm sorry, there is no excuse for the Uncanny Valley anymore. If you can't do it, don't frickin' do it.
This makes me miss the Fox X-Men movies, which were
not to mention
some of them had bad CG. I like those movies as kind of like some of them were kind of schlocky because there's some bad CG in them, like the Patrick Stewart in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Have you seen that? That was before they cast James McAvoy as young Patrick Stewart. So when X-Men Origins Wolverine takes place in the 70s, right? So you have a young Professor X showing up to get the mutants, and it's a computer animated Patrick Stewart, and it looks so wrong.
There's no, I in the previous article, there was I actually forgot what I was going to say. I don't remember.
I'm sorry. Previous article, there was a quote?
I don't remember. It was.
I'm sorry.
Something. No, because I was also distracted by Skipper Kenner.
Kenner.
He literally comes in just to throw me off my game. He's talking about how I used to pose his action figures in compromising positions.
What?
Oh yeah. Dude. Oh yeah. Yeah, no. Toxic masculinity. That's what I'm all about, right?
I'm thinking of a joke a friend of mine made about Solomon Grundy, but that's not safe for the air.
Okay.
I really hope She-Hulk sticks to landing. Could be a truly funny, unique ride. They still have plenty of work to do on her visual effects, though. So what do we think, huh?
Oh, I remembered what I was going to say. So you pointed out in the last article how long this had been delayed. There's no excuse for bad special effects if you've got a delay. If you've got time, get those renders right. If you can't do it, I'm sorry. There's no excuse for the House of Mouse to not have spot on perfect animation. If you're not cutting edge, you shouldn't be doing it, Disney.
Listen, it's not like they're like a leader in computer animation. Pixar,
sure is
Lucasfilm,
not
Lucas,
anymore,
the Skywalker Ranch. Don't they own that? Do they own ILM?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But if they do, that's even worse. They are not using their resources. And this is why I just keep saying Disney's such a shit show right now.
I think they've stretched themselves way too thin. I think they're trying to put out way too much stuff all at once. How many Star Wars series, how many Marvel movies and shows? It's
and there's no adult in the room saying, "Hey, wait a minute. What's wrong with this CG? We are the animation company. We just bought Lucasfilm. Blah blah blah." I mean, and why would you not combine LucasArts and Lucasfilm and Pixar and pull the best of the best?
Sonic the Hedgehog is a perfect example of a CGI character who looked abysmal upon first peek. The studio was able to fix things up in time for release. There's no doubt that whenever the next look show arrives, we'll have to be looking much more polished.
I would go so far as to say they have no excuse if they don't, because Sonic is out there.
Have you heard about this Chip and Dale movie they have on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I saw. So they had
Based on Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, they had first off, I think the two different animation styles for the two different characters is the stupidest effing thing they could have possibly done. But put that aside, I've seen of all places, Ghostbusters News actually did a video about some of the cameos in this. And of course, Disney does cameos of all their characters and Pixar characters and stuff like that. But they go to other companies to do some Easter eggs from their stuff. The reason being, someone noticed in the credits, they thank these companies for their cooperation. One of them was Ghost Corps for and Ghostbusters, and the only thing they pulled from Ghostbusters was that one of their cartoon characters was wearing a Ghostbusters shirt, but they still acknowledged it. But yeah, they also got the rights from who did Sonic? Sony?
Paramount.
Thank you. To use, I'm guessing they only had the rights to use the
bad Sonic. I watched the clip.
Sonic, yeah.
I was stunned. I'm like, no, someone's trolling me online. This is they went there. They have the Sonic with the bad teeth in there.
And apparently Paramount was like okay with it, and they were like, yeah, okay, go ahead.
I wouldn't have done that. I would have buried that character deep, even if it's for a joke. Just don't. I don't know that.
No. This is goodwill on the part of Paramount. They know this. They know after 2 movies of the success of Sonic, they know the fans are on their side, and the fans are on their side because of this. That's not a bad thing to remind people of.
I don't know. That Chip and Dale movie looks like a trash fire. I haven't.
Well,
seen
yes, it does. I have no interest in it, but
I'm not a fan of. I didn't watch the old Disney cartoon though. That was one of the Disney afternoon shows I didn't watch, so I don't know how fans of that show feel about that show. But I don't know.
I remember the theme song. My brother used to watch the show. Yeah, David says "Ugly Sonic." I think that's how he's referred to in that film.
I'm just, I can't deal with this. It's. So okay. Any last thoughts on She-Hulk? Because I'm sure we'll be talking more about it in the future. But you like the actress they cast as her, and do you think they dressed her down in the trailer? They made her more dowdy looking than she is in real life. I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Because that was the role they were going for, and I never felt like that's who her character was. I mean, I always felt she was a fairly assertive. I mean, she's a lawyer. She was a good lawyer.
Apparently, there have been a ton of Marvel cartoons I've ever seen, and there was one based on the Fantastic Four, I guess from the 2000s era. And I was watching a scene from it, and I guess the Thing gets angry and quits or doesn't want to be on the team anymore, so they have to find a replacement. And so they're doing auditions for other superheroes, and then She-Hulk shows up, but she looks like a lawyer. And Johnny Storm's like, "Oh, what are we going to use you for? What are you going to do? Throw the book of law at people or something?" And then finally she gets angry and turns into She-Hulk. And it's like, I don't know. I think he develops a crush on her during the episode too.
Most of the unattached guys in the Marvel universe did, absolutely. And she had a couple of romantic storylines.
Interesting.
That I didn't have a problem with. Yeah, Jennifer Walters is the character's name, and
she would end up with Cyclops, probably, right? That's
I don't know about Cyclops.
I don't know, maybe not.
But yeah, she's had the whole, and of course you get the scene in the trailer where she's the one picking up the guy, which is cringy enough. But then the fact that the CG looked horrible. And then the CG of the guy in her arms had to be CG as well as knocking over the lamp.
It looked weird.
It looked terrible. It's like the joke. You're lucky if the joke sticks to begin with. You better get the CG right so people can't rip on that too.
I think the idea is, she's sweeping the guy off his feet. Is that what that is supposed to be?
I guess.
I don't know.
Which again which again speaks to the whole Lady Dimitrescu kind of thing. And like you said, some guys are into that, fine.
Okay, well, they can enjoy She-Hulk then, and I'll wait for more. It's modern Marvel. I'm not going to like it anyway. Let's move on to Warner Brothers, huh? Zaslav. Warner Brothers assumed Clint Eastwood's Cry Macho would flop to David Zaslav's horror. There's a lot to. I don't like this word, but I'll say it anyway. A lot to unpack here, so let's move on. David Zaslav is shedding no tears over Cry Macho. It's funny, I didn't have room for this in the headline, but I wanted to say, David Zaslav cries foul over Cry Macho. Do you get the joke? Because the chicken in the movie is called Macho.
Yeah.
The Mexican kid named his chicken Macho cries foul. Get it? Foul's a bird.
Yes.
No, you don't like that? Okay. Anyway,
what am I muted? Are you not hearing me? I said, yeah, I got it. It's funny.
Yeah, you got it, but you didn't seem that enthused. I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway,
it's not a side splitter.
That's okay. Okay. Well, we'll leave the jokes to you. Okay, David Zaslav is shedding no tears over Cry Macho. The Clint Eastwood vehicle grossed approximately $15.5 million worldwide upon release, despite a budget of $33 million. And new CEO Zaslav challenged why the film was even made in the first place. Zaslav questioned the studio heads why Cry Macho was funded if Warner Brothers knew it would be profitable. Cry Macho stars Eastwood as a former rodeo star turned horse breeder who was hired to bring a teenager back to his family. Oscar winner Eastwood also directed the neo-western, which doubles as a tender road trip movie as Eastwood's character bonds with the kid as they journey across Mexico. Per the Wall Street Journal, Warner Brothers told Zaslav that they felt indebted to Eastwood because of his 50-year-plus relationship with the studio and Eastwood's consistent ability to deliver films under budget and on time. Zaslav then reportedly quoted a famous line from Jerry Maguire saying, "It's not show friends, it's show business." Zaslav, or Zaz as industry insiders nickname, pulling the plug on streamer CNN Plus shortly after its debut, and also scrubbed the upcoming HBO Max DC film The Wonder Twins starring KJ Apa and Isabel May. Upon taking over Warner Brothers under the Discovery merger, Zaslav pledged to cut approximately $3 billion in costs. Wonder Twins had a $75 million budget. "We are not trying to win the direct-to-consumer spending war," Zaslav explained during the April earnings call before Chief Financial Officer Gunnar Weidenfels added, "We intend to drive the highest level of financial discipline here." The Wall Street Journal reported that Warner Brothers will be focusing on an increased amount of theatrical releases with 20 to 25 films per year. Theatrical releases also perform better on HBO Max than the movies made exclusively for the streamer per source. Okay, so let's get back to the Eastwood issue here. I'm a little annoyed by all of this. Okay. Cry Macho is a smaller budgeted movie. It's not supposed to be a blockbuster.
Right.
It was budgeted at $33 million. And I personally think in some ways these executives that were trying to, I feel like Eastwood's being thrown under the bus a little bit here, and I'm a little pissed off about this because
and Stephen Otten makes a great point too. It was another one of those day and date releases, which doesn't help it either.
I think that hurt.
I had not even heard about it, so that tells me their marketing failed. There's a lot of problems going into it in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Paulie from Latino Slant. He was talking about. He made a point. I think it was during Latino Heritage Month. He made a point that Clint Eastwood's done more for it than anybody else in Hollywood because the movie takes place in Mexico. And what I liked about the movie's portrayal of Mexico in this, it's not that it's saying that the cartels aren't a problem and that maybe there's corruption, the government, other things, but it doesn't present every part of Mexico as a hellhole. You know, there are good people in Mexico, and he befriends a family there, and it's an interesting road trip movie. And he forms a bond with this young boy. It's like one of those coming of age things, kind of like with we watched that movie a few weeks ago, Blind Fury. You know, it's and it's a good. it's a good movie, and it's a smaller budgeted movie. I think it would have made money, except for the fact that one, people were still too chicken to go to theaters during the pandemic. This movie skews older. This is an older audience movie. It's not meant for the teenagers wanting to go see an Avengers movie or anything. But it is also budgeted at $33 million, which was normal movie length back. I think even adjusted for inflation, that's normal. That was like a modest budget. So, and I think they're saying, "Oh, we didn't think it would make money." Well, I think you kind of sabotaged it, as you said.
Exactly, and that's a big problem from the point of view of Zaslav. You know, if you're gonna make it great, make it successful, or don't make it at all. Don't just, okay, well, we feel like we need to make this and let it sink on its own. No, that is stupid. That is bad business.
Now, in the old days, a movie like Cry Macho, it would have been Oscar bait. And that also helps a movie like this if it gets nominated for awards, either for acting awards or for. It used to. You're right.
I was going to say, I don't think it
used
does
to.
anymore.
It used to. Well, they're never going to give anything to Clint Eastwood again, though, because he did that thing at the Republican National Convention where he talked to the chair that was supposed to have Obama in it. Remember that? And, but now it's not so far. It's not like Mel Gibson territory where they're not going to let him where they're going to try to stop him making movies and other things like that. But this, he doesn't. I don't think he has the woke friends over there. He still has name cachet because he is a living legend. He's not just a great movie star as he was. He's also a great director. Some movies he's just directed and not starred in either.
But my take on it was even more fundamental than that. Does the Oscars even have that kind of pull that because something is nominated, people are going to rush out and see it anymore? No, I don't think
it used to. It used to. I think it used to. And to be fair, here's the deal. When I was growing up, I didn't think that the Oscars always got it right, but usually they were at least worth a look. Like I remember one year you had the 5 nominees and they were all good movies. You had Titanic, I know you have issues with Titanic, so maybe that wasn't one, but LA Confidential, Good Will Hunting, As Good as It Gets, which, I'm if you're a Jack Nicholson fan.
No, you're right.
And sometimes they do nominate good movies. I mean, like Return of the King won one year. It's not always. Nowadays, though, they're bending over backwards because there probably was. I'm not even going to say that they're probably. Not that I like that term Oscars so white, but there were some issues there with some of what the people were voting for. But I think they've gone so completely in the other direction now, where they're having all these rules based on what can now be nominated and everything else. And I worry though. I'm worried about Clint Eastwood though. Is there a place for him in modern Hollywood? And are they going to just put this? I don't like the idea of an accomplished filmmaker and actor just getting pushed to the side because he's old, and that's what this is sort of feeling like here. And I got upset. So,
well, from a certain point of view, it's also the only reason it got made was because of his history with them. Which is probably a good reason for a foot in the door. But I can see it from Zaslav's point of view. That in and of itself is not enough reason to make the movie.
No.
If we were going to make this movie, we needed to go after it whole hog. We did.
Yes.
We put it out there out of obligation and let it fail.
Oh, I'm sure this thing sunk in the theaters because, again, pandemic fears. And again, the audience that would go to see this wasn't going to go see it.
For Day and Date anymore. There's no excuse.
Day and Date was a disaster. If it hadn't been for Day and Date, I know it would have made its money back because it made $15 million. I feel like
Day and Date that evokes in me saying shit or get off the pot. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to make money on this thing or not? Don't even bother releasing it in theaters if you're going to bother doing that. Just put it on your streaming service and call it content.
Yeah. I am thinking though, this is some executives covering their butt. And they're saying, "Oh, we felt bad for Clint Eastwood. He's been so good to the company over the years." But that is not a
great way to cover your butt with someone like Zaslav, right? Because he's going to say, "Well, if you don't know what makes money, I don't want you in this position. Goodbye."
What they should have done was saying they should have cited other times when these modest budget Clint Eastwood movies did pull a profit, and that's why we make them. They're not huge movies, but they do well. Like I'm sure.
Well, and then my question would be
the Trouble with the Curve, the baseball one, I'm sure did well that he did, right?
Yeah. But then I'd say, why Day and Date? Why didn't you promote it better?
Well, then, like I said, I think they're in some ways. I feel they're throwing Clint Eastwood on the bus here, which I wouldn't take a risk at even with him.
Well,
in his
if you were
90s,
in that situation, you'd be looking for someone to throw under the bus too. I'm just saying, I hope that Zaslav isn't buying that bullshit.
Point is, it was a good movie. It's. They could have said we were hoping it would sell the streaming service. Instead, they're saying, "Oh, we knew it wouldn't be profitable," which is the stupidest thing you can say to someone who's already trying to trim the fat.
Matanui makes a great point. We all know they use the virus as an excuse. It's not a secret. Not only that, I don't think people like Zaslav are buying it either. They're going, "Yeah, really bullshit. That's the stupidest bunch of shit I've heard." You lose nothing by putting a film in a theater for 30, 45 days. You lose nothing.
Yeah.
You can then take it and put it, and you make your money. I don't care if one person goes to see it and you make $20 off of it. Wonderful. That's $20 you didn't have, putting it on your streaming service.
I want to see if Clint Eastwood's going to respond to this. I'm going to be curious. But we'll see.
What I would say if I was him is like, well, I'm glad that they appreciated me for all my time in service. I'll never do another movie with them again now.
Eastwood, I'm sorry, he helped build Warner Brothers.
Yes, he did.
He made it into what it is today. Lots of his movies, the screen pick right there, Dirty Harry, all Warner Brothers pictures. He was
honestly, if I was
almost
him,
the face of Warner Brothers in the 70s.
From now on, and I would say this not just of him, I would say this of anybody who wants to make movies these days that have as much clout and as much money as them. Make your own movies. You know the people, you know the industry. You can make it as an independent film, and you can release it your own way.
Yeah.
And that's where the future of good films is going to be.
33 million. I mean, maybe not quite an independent film budget. That's a low budget. Mm-hmm. So don't tell me they could have just said, "Oh, his other small movies did well." It's just they could have done it, but they're trying to cover their own butts. They're saying, "Oh, it's the relationship you had with the studio." We just want to, it's like we're treating him like like grandpa, excuses. Or just trying to be nice to grandpa. And it's just, yeah. I'm just annoyed at it. But is that okay? But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens as this goes along. I still want Warner Brothers to make some of these smaller pictures. Not everything has to be $100 million or $200 million. I mean, I'm sorry, 33 million. That movie will make its money back.
And let's face it, some of my favorite films have been what you'd consider to be low budget, shoestring budget, hell, Star Wars itself was the fact that movie got made is surprising,
not a horrible budget considering how, it had state-of-the-art effects and everything, but it didn't have the budget that Star Trek the Motion Picture had.
I was going to say, but keep in mind too, they use special effects that didn't exist before Lucasfilm created them.
Star Trek the Motion Picture, yikes.
That was a waste of special effects.
There's some good effects in that movie, though. I mean, state of the art.
Yeah.
Especially for the time. Some great model work. I'm not such a fan of the sets in that movie, but I thought the model work was excellent. What was I going to say, though? It's interesting, though, when you watch shows like Space 1999 and shows like that, you see how it's leading up to Star Wars, how the effects on that were very good, because Jerry Anderson, he did pioneer a lot of model effects on those shows and even on this puppet shows. And, of course, he was inspired by 2001, which had, for the time.
Well, if you go a little further back, shows like Blake 7 and Doctor Who made all the mistakes that George Lucas, was wise enough to avoid. They would do the model work, but when you'd have an explosion in space, you'd see the explosion, blow out and the smoke go up. And you're going, why would the smoke go up in space? So when George Lucas would film an explosion, he would film it from underneath so that everything went out in the same, or from the perspective of the camera, went out in the same direction.
Funny. Yeah, that makes sense. We need those original theatrical cuts restored. But anyway, Amber Heard released from Aquaman contract. You're laughing.
A little bit. I guess you should go ahead and read that first. But I'm going to front load it by saying, don't be too quick to take it at face value.
Okay, I did Clint's Mall Apostle production has been a pillar at the Burbank Warner for years. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they're thinking old guy. We can have him take the brunt. That's what that looked like to me. But anyway, we'll see how this all plays out. Anyway, let's go back to Amber Heard. I can say her name now, right?
But most people are calling her Amber Turd. But whatever you want to call her is fine with me.
Well, during testimony given on Tuesday, Amber Heard revealed she has been released from her Aquaman 2 contract. They had released me from my contract, and I fought to stay in it, Heard said. That's not all. She also said is not even sure how much she is in Aquaman 2. They kept me in. I don't know how much I'm in, actually, the final cut, said Heard, in response to questioning from Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, who asked if she has been replaced in Aquaman 2. A few minutes later, Heard said more of the same, in that she doesn't know how much she is in the sequel, if at all. As I said, I don't know if I will even be in the final cut or how much I will be. It was difficult to say in the movie, Heard said. The news that Amber Heard is no longer has a contract with DC follows yesterday's testimony, where the actress said she has to fight to stay in both the Aquaman films, where she has revealed a fight scene has been cut from Aquaman 2. I was given a new version of the script that had been taken scenes that had action in it, that had depicted my character and another character without giving away any spoilers away. Two characters fighting with one another. They basically took a bunch out of my role. They didn't. They just removed a bunch, she said. Purpose to remove the role of Mira has been drastically reduced in the sequel to only 10 minutes, said to be due to all the bad publicity surrounding the feud between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. So based on the past couple of days of testimony from Heard, and now with the revelation she is no longer has a DC contract, it seems the rumors have been right. Regarding the new female lead in the flick, nothing has been officially announced as of yet, but rumors have another female actress or character have since replaced Amber Heard. It's still a while before the movie comes out, so more than likely following the trial and closer to release date will the official details for the film become known. I fought really hard to stay in the movie. They didn't want to include me in the film, Heard said Monday of Aquaman 2. Do you know what I've been noticing about a lot of these Warner Brothers movies? And it's a feeling I get. I don't get this from other things, that we have a thing in video game terms or whatever, or maybe software terms, that's called vaporware, or it feels like they don't exist, but they do, right? Like I kept thinking the Batman was never going to come out, and now we have this Aquaman 2 situation. What do you think?
Right.
Well, does it feel like this movie is coming out? I guess it's supposed to come out in March.
Sure. It eventually will. I mean, they're in too far not to. But the thing to keep in mind, there's a couple things. First, whether or not she does actually appear in Aquaman 2, or how big her role is and how much of it's left on the cutting room floor, absolutely means nothing. It does not matter. She got her money. She was contracted. She got paid for it. Okay. Same thing with Johnny Depp and the Grindelwald film that he was taken out of. He got paid for that film. Okay. So he can't, in his court case, use that as one of his losses. He can say that's why I won't be in future films. He can point out, yeah, I got paid for it, but I didn't actually appear in it because they dropped me. And he needs to try to demonstrate that it was because of Amber Heard and what she said to make his case. But by the same token, it works the same way for Amber Heard with Aquaman 2. She was in it. She did the work. She appeared in it. She got paid for it. She lost nothing. The question is she losing out on Aquaman 3? And is that because of this court case? Is it because of Johnny? Is it because of whatever? That being said, there's the other thing that I want to point out is, at this point, I wouldn't believe Amber Heard if she said water was wet. So no matter what she says, I don't buy it. Okay. She's going to say whatever she has to say, trying to make her case, whether it matches up with the proof or not, whether it has any bearing in reality, she's going to say it. So I brought this up specifically because it's topical. It's in the news. It was said. A lot of people are talking about it. That doesn't make it the case. I still insist, however, that Warner Brothers is making no decision until this case is over in another week or two. I'm not sure exactly how much is left, but they are not going to risk any liability by making a decision that could affect this lawsuit while it's currently going on. Yeah.
Amber pledged to be in Aquaman 2. That's what I said.
No, she actually had a contract to be. She pledged to be in Aquaman 3. That's where the joke works. That whole pledged versus donate is a big meme. At least in the law tubes. I don't know about the rest of pop culture, but those of you that haven't been following the Amber Heard thing, they kept bringing up that she had pledged all $7 million of the money she was supposed to have received in their divorce settlement to two charities, and those charities have already gone on record saying, no, we never received that money. And she says, and she said, well, and then they brought in some talk show that she was on overseas where she said, yes, I donated every dollar of that 7 million to these companies or to these charities. And she said, so you did not, in fact, donate all of that money. Yes, I did. I pledged all of it. Let me repeat my question. You have not yet actually donated every dollar of that. Yes, I pledged every dollar of it.
Oh my word.
And then she goes, you have to understand, I use debt, I use donate and pledge interchangeably. And the attorney said, let me repeat myself. I do not use those words interchangeably. Have you or have you not paid all the money you said you would to these charities? Now she has no way to say anything but, no, I haven't. Well, actually, she tried to say, no, I haven't because Johnny sued me. Okay, well, let's look at the timeline. You got the money, or you pledged the money. You got the money on this date. 13 months later, you were sued. So she sat on that money for 13 months and is trying to use being sued as an excuse for not having given the money to the charities that she said she was going to. That's just a side note to fill you all in on the cultural use of pledged going forward that you will probably be seeing in various social medias.
Okay, cool. So I can use pledge to do something that I don't, to say I'm going to do.
Well, and people are sending in super chats to like the law tubes and stuff, like legal bites and whatnot, like a $2 super chat. By the way, I'm actually pledging 2 million to everybody on the panel or whatever.
Let's see, her making the analogy that when you donate, it's like paying a house that you pay in monthly installments. That doesn't work. The bank pays for the whole cost and you would pay the bank. Yes, I know. Let's move on. Well, I'm sure you'll be wanting to talk about Amber Heard again soon, won't you?
Probably. Yep.
James Bond director Cary Fukunaga asked two twin sisters for a hot tub threesome at their Pennsylvania home as he is accused of sexual harassment and grooming by 3 actresses. Okay, the original article I sent you on this subject, it disappeared. Again, the second one tonight, so I had to replace it with another one. So here we go. That's from the Daily Mail. I'll go ahead and read from it. Of course, as you know, I talked about No Time to Die was Utopia a few weeks back. James Bond movie director Cary Fukunaga has been accused of sexual harassment and grooming by 3 young actresses. The 44-year-old who directed Daniel Craig's final outing of 007 and No Time to Die allegedly left one woman so traumatized that she was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. The allegations come after Mr. Fukunaga posted a story on his Instagram page declaring his support for women's rights in light of a leaked document revealing that the U.S. Supreme Court is about to overturn Roe versus Wade, a ruling which legalized abortion in America. He wrote, "The Supreme Court is about to push us one step closer to a war with ourselves by legitimizing a war against women's rights." One of his accusers is actress and professional skateboarder Rachel Vinberg, 23, who says she met Mr. Fukunaga when he directed her in a commercial the day after she turned 18 and became of legal age. The pair began a consensual relation which turned sexual when she was 21. Ms. Vinberg accused him of grooming and abusing her, writing on Instagram. So he posted this today, and it pisses me off because he literally doesn't care about women. He only traumatizes them. I spent years being scared of him. Man's a groomer and has been doing this for years. Beware women. Ms. Vinberg, who posted pictures of herself with the director, said, "I tried to reach out to him in the past about how he made me feel, and he's never taken accountability. He basically brushed me off." He said the experience left her so traumatized she remains in therapy and has been diagnosed with PTSD. Two other women, twins, Hannah and Kaylin Loesch, met him on the set of Netflix's 2018 drama Maniac, where they were 20, and say they had a 3-year hot and cold relationship with him. They say he invited them to London while he was filming No Time to Die, released last year. Writing on social media, the twins claim Mr. Fukunaga came to their family home, Pennsylvania, asked them to participate in a threesome as they sat in a hot tub. They allege he said incest was okay if all parties are okay with it. Separately, they allege that during the screening of No Time to Die in New York, which they claim to have watched on Mr. Fukunaga's bed, he massaged Kaylin with his hand under her shirt and then pulled on top. This is not a kid's street, people. Kaylin. Okay, so basically, this. I mean, I want to say this is sort of. What do you think? What do you make of all this?
Okay,
what I do know about this. You go ahead.
I was going to say one thing I wasn't clear about. She's accusing him of grooming, and but they didn't actually do anything till she was 18. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Everything
was after 18. Yes. The grooming
I'm not
started
saying that's cool.
when she
I
turned
mean,
18.
you could make the argument that grooming and waiting until she's 18 is still grooming.
Well, she argued he groomed her after 18. I thought that's what he did.
Oh, well, if that's the case, I have a hard time.
I think, but how can you prove anything?
Well, I need to know what she's saying in order to comment on it. If she's saying after she was 18, you can't be groomed.
That was the impression
18.
I got.
You could be
yes.
gaslit. You could be misled. You could be lied
that's
to.
what's her name said about Marilyn Manson, the one who's on Westworld.
Grooming is something you do to someone who is not of age to consent.
Okay, but I've heard people. No, but certain actresses are using it to also reference 18. And when I'm 18, someone's coming after me, and they groom me at 18. I've heard this. Anyway, Deleted Scenes brings up a good point. Beware of the male feminist. This guy went on record bashing the old Connery Bond movies for being misogynistic and calling him a
that's a great way
rapist.
to definitely lose any credibility on your argument then.
So I don't know if this is just hysteria, but I do notice a trend with men that tend to be the most vocal feminists, that they can sometimes be the worst predators.
I am
so
going
I don't
back
know.
to what I've always said. An accusation doesn't mean it happened.
No.
It just doesn't. I'm going to keep going back. And I'll tell you what, right now, the Johnny Depp thing is always going to be the one that people keep going back to. Don't Johnny Depp somebody.
Yeah.
If you feel that's the case, by all means, take them to court and prove what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't believe women. I believe evidence.
So
I don't believe anyone. I believe evidence.
So I don't know, but I've heard stuff came out of the woodwork with this guy before this latest incident. I don't know what that was, but this is apparently recent because he was talking about the abortion issue that's been in the headlines lately. So I don't know. I do know that I did not like No Time to Die or didn't like his take on Bond, so I don't know. I don't want to say you reap what you sow, but he's dancing with the rogue crowd, and now it's
chat said something. Oh yeah, it's Stephen Otten said, beware of the
male feminist.
male
yes.
feminist. Yeah, absolutely true.
So maybe these, and you're right. Even he deserves his day in court. You
Yeah.
know, innocent until proven guilty. But it's just interesting, though. He's all Mr. Vocal, but they're still going after him. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, okay. I guess that's all for that story. Have you seen No Time to Die yet?
I have not yet. No.
Okay. Well, you can wait. You can wait for a while on that one.
It's not
The rest of
one
your
that I
life.
should push to the top of my
The
list.
rest of your life, yeah, maybe. It's another one of these movies that had to be 3 hours long because
I'll tell you what, it is in my DVD collection.
you don't have to watch
it. I pledge to watch it at some point in time.
Okay, so apparently, this is of course from the Daily Wire, so we have a nice right-leaning headline here. But Hillary defeated again. Hulu passes on Rodham after nearly 2 years in development. Now Hulu, that's owned by Disney, right?
Yes, it is.
So is Disney passing on this?
I don't know, because they don't seem to be taking a direct control of Hulu like they should. I mean, I don't understand why Hulu and Disney Plus haven't been combined. This goes back to exactly the same thing I was saying before. Why aren't Pixar and Lucasfilm and all of their different disparate companies being merged together? Why haven't they integrated 20th Century Fox, 20th whatever, all the movies? Why haven't they dumped that onto their streaming platforms? Because I don't know. I'm sorry, you're getting me off on a tangent.
Well, Hulu was the Fox streaming platform. And I know that ABC was friendly with this. They would put ABC shows on there as well. And then Disney bought out Fox, and now it's all.
And now Hulu should be carrying all of the 20th Century Fox catalog, all of the ABC catalog. It should all freaking be there.
Keep dreaming. I'm assuming I think all the ABC shows are on there, because I think the network stuff is still on Hulu. Yeah,
but likewise, all the Disney back catalog should be on there. Perhaps with some trigger warnings, but get it all freaking on there.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that show Gravity Falls, it's apparently on both Disney Plus and on Hulu. So I was able to watch it because I have Hulu. I said I don't have Disney Plus, so I don't know.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can't see anywhere, and then that one is on both of their streaming services.
Nothing makes sense, and whatever. Don't say anything, because they may just yank it from Hulu. I want it on there until the next discussion over Mass 6 Channel. Hillary Clinton took another loss as Hulu has passed on a show about her that had been in development at the network for nearly 2 years. Rodham is based on the novel of the same name, which tells the story of an alternate universe in which Hillary does not marry Bill Clinton, but instead serves as a Northwestern University professor before running for president in 2016. Rodham is a nauseating, moving, morally suggestive, technically brilliant book that made me think more than any other in recent memory about the aims and limits of fiction. Amelia Quinn wrote for NPR in 2020 about the Curtis Sittenfeld novel. 20th Television is still shopping the project to other streamers now that Claire Danes and Dakota Fanning are attached to play Clinton at different stages of her life. What? I guess there's an age difference between Claire Danes and Dakota Fanning.
Let me just say this. I am not sure what finally caused them to cut this one loose, but there's a whole lot going on here that you probably want to stay away from. For one thing, the existence of a storyline that's an alternate reality where Hillary doesn't marry Bill. That's probably not a storyline you really want to be touching and publicizing. That's just a great way to piss off one Clinton or the other. You know, that. Yeah,
I know that she has, collaborated with writers. I don't know if she collaborated with James Patterson or was it Nora Roberts or somebody. Where I think she collaborated with a fiction like The President's Daughter. Hold on, let me see. I know Bill Clinton worked on The President is Missing with James Patterson. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was when he got. That was during that horribly awkward interview where someone was bringing up the Lewinsky scandal when they were trying to promote the book.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
exactly. And they don't need stuff like that. Look, if someone came to me, if I was working at Hulu and they were like, "We want to make this project," I'd be like, "Fuck no, I don't want to get Epsteined."
The President is Missing book. Yeah, that was the Clinton one. I thought Patterson worked with Hillary Clinton. No, let me look it up. Hold on. Give me a minute. I'm going to find out. Because wouldn't it make more sense just to work on one of these true to life fiction books about, some thriller, and of course we're getting info from the source, someone who was, in Washington, and that way you could still give your politician the big payoff and make something that's more palatable.
Another source that I wouldn't believe if she said water was wet.
Anyway, I don't know. Now I got to find out what the fiction book Hillary Clinton worked on, though. Hillary Clinton followed Bill's footsteps again by writing a political thriller. See, wouldn't a political thriller? Yeah, Lewis Penny. Yeah, Lewis Penny. Hillary Clinton, State of Terror. Wouldn't it made more sense to have adapted State of Terror into a series, because that way you still get to give the person the big payoff, but then you make a thriller series that might be more palatable to a general audience. What do you think, huh? I'm trying to think like Zaslav here. You're thinking stay away from it all, aren't you?
I'm saying there is no good that can possibly come of this.
You don't like our politicians mixing with the entertainment industry. You do realize that Netflix had made deals with the Obamas to make content, right? That was a big thing for their network.
If you want to make a documentary, even if it's a bunch of bullshit, and you want to make a documentary about Hillary, I say go for it, right? If you want to do a completely fictitious thing about some fictitious female politician who was married to a former president
and maybe inspired by Hillary Clinton's life or something,
then by all means do that. If you want to take a very polarizing character and do a fictionalized alternate reality story about them, you need to have a lobotomy immediately.
Hey, it's what could have been. You know what it is? It seems like a wish fulfillment by the person in question of what their life could have been, right?
Yeah. That it does have that element of it too, right? It does come off as a little bit of fan fiction-y. Mary Sue Rodham is how it comes off to me, which also is not going to sell very well.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. It's a terrorism. Oh, apparently the Russian mob, a burgeoning rogue terror, and American government. Okay. Anyway, I'm just saying. I was curious about this book she co-wrote, or because they all write the books, right? You believe that?
I believe they're consulted.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good enough. So you're not going to be watching. Or you think the show's going to find a home?
If it does, I won't be watching it.
Netflix, come on, pick it up.
Yeah. No, didn't we just cover this is the kind of thing Netflix is staying the fuck away from?
I could see HBO picking this up. No, not under Zaslav. I don't think he wants to waste money. NBC, Peacock, huh? No. I mean, here's who's going to pick it up. I know already. Paramount Plus.
I was going to say, if Disney's not fired up about it, I can't imagine anyone being more woke.
Paramount Plus, I think, would do it. I think Paramount Plus.
The company that is putting out a Star Wars Pride collection and a Pixar Pride collection, I can't imagine another company being more interested in doing anything for Hillary.
Yeah. I'm eating cotton candy right now.
Okay.
I got it for my birthday, so I can't put it down. It's icy flavor.
Happy birthday. Oh, and you know what else?
Yesterday, yeah.
Speaking of, happy birthday to Wolf 10 Media.
Today's his birthday?
That's what I've heard, yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's my same day as my grandmother's. Happy birthday, Wolf 10. Many
That's
happy
assuming
returns.
that you see this at some point in the future, because I haven't actually seen you in the chat.
All right. Well, maybe I'll send him a message over MeWe
There you go.
before it's too late. Okay. I'm trying to think though. I guess that's it. I'm trying
That's
to think.
all the articles I had on my notes anyway.
No, that's it. Anyway. SJW mental. Well, we know that. Oh man, there was a song on Beavis and Butthead. The Beavis and Butthead CD where that was the name of the song was mental. You know the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the Beavis and Butthead Experience. That was what it was called. That's where they did the duet with Cher at the end of the CD. It was anyway. Okay, I miss Beavis and Butthead. But we'll see if they make a comeback someday. Yeah, Mike Judd's brilliant. King of the Hill.
And something to look forward to. Love and Thunder official trailer drops tomorrow. Aren't we all excited?
Oh yikes! I haven't watched the teaser yet. I've been afraid to. I'm like, it's funny. I did watch the show. I'm like, I don't want to watch Love and Thunder.
I have no
feeling.
interest in the trailer if I'm not planning on seeing the film. No, I just
You're gonna get to see angry Natalie Portman all buffed out. Come on.
I think that's the least of its problems.
Oh, okay. Anyways,
I'm telling you, if her character doesn't have cancer, then this story makes no friggin' sense.
They'll do whatever they feel is right. Okay. So what do we have going on this week? Tuesday, we are on Mr. Mastic's channel, correct?
Are we?
I believe today is a Culture Fortress this week.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking about
Remo Williams.
I was thinking about talking about Remo Williams and the Destroyer. Yeah.
Maybe, I believe it's this Tuesday. I'll have to check with them, but
it's going to be a very short one. Although I say that every single time, and I end up prattling on for over.
To be fair, we should probably aiming for no more than a half hour each. I think, but
yeah, we went way over last time. We just went on and on and on and on.
But I'm trying to think what else. Wednesday, I'll be on Birdman's channel. I think we'll be doing a movie. We'll see. Okay. I know we were supposed to do Predator last week, but he had his guest had to bow out, so maybe we'll do we're either going to do that. Might do Last Action Hero. I don't know. We'll do an Arnold movie to wrap up Arnold month. I'm trying to think. Friday. That brings us to Friday, correct?
Yep. I had speculated maybe I'll do a little bit of a rant, or kind of go over the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. But I may change that midstream if I end up getting a guest, or if something else presents itself that seems a little bit more pressing. But whatever the case, I'm sure I'll be drinking, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun for all of you.
Cool.
And that brings us around to Saturday, where the rewatch is on Netter's Network, where we will be rewatching a film called Blow Dry. It is a story about a blow drying competition with Alan Rickman. That's the guy.
Cool.
One
Alan
that
Rickman's
most of y'all probably haven't seen. I'd be real surprised if most of you have it in your collection. Of course, I will be simulcasting it on Cosme for those of you that don't have it.
Cool.
And that brings us around to next Sunday, where you won't be here.
There will not be a Geeky Geezers next Sunday. I am sorry, but I will be out of town that weekend. I have given Troy the heads up, so he may be planning something. I think he will, right? You'll be doing.
I will do something. I'm
on his channel.
It depends on what news articles come up this week as I start to put the news. I'm going to put the notes together, just like I would for you anyway. And I'll look them over and I'll go, if there's one that is either time sensitive or maybe a little bit more chewy than a little snippet on Geeky Geezers would normally be. Maybe I could turn.
Now it's not going to be a Geeky Geezer stream because that's on this channel, but it will be a Nerdy Grumpers stream. Okay, so
I don't think I'm going to commit to that. But then again, I also don't think First Call was really a great one either.
That was a last minute thing.
Yeah, I'll come up with something, and I'll probably be looking for one of the usual suspects as a
Co-host.
co-host. Maybe
You never know. I might get back early from my trip. Maybe I'll join you. We'll see. I can't, or at least I'll pop up in the chat if I can. All right. So
Well, I'm gonna line someone up that I know for sure, and if you want to
no. Don't count on me that night. I'm just saying.
I'm thinking maybe Stephen Otten, if you're available next Sunday, you want to co-host with me. Maybe you even have an idea of a topic to talk about. Otherwise, maybe Netter of Netter's Network, or maybe both of y'all.
Deleted scenes could talk about the his love of the snowman, the movie The Snowman. Okay.
Okay.
No. It's funny because I recently watched a movie called I think it's called Dark Crimes. I don't know if you've seen that, deleted scenes. Dark Crimes would be a perfect double feature bill with the Snowman, because they both were about crimes and weird parts of Europe, and they were both terribly executed. But Jim Carrey was in Dark Crimes in a dramatic role. It was like one of his only dramatic roles, and it's a terrible film. Okay. He's not bad in it, but it's just a bad.
I mean,
film.
he's got the acting chops for it, but yeah, when he does serious films,
it's just the wrong serious film
sell,
for him to be in. Yeah. It's just it's a very depressing movie too. Anyway, so okay, so I'll be next Sunday. Look for Troy's channel. There'll be something special on. Okay, and then that brings us around. That brings us around full circle. So we're all set.
Yep.
Y'all have a happy Memorial Day weekend if I don't see you guys before then, and take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.